A million-strong legion from the rival clan surged forward like a tidal wave of steel, their horses' hooves shaking the very earth. Yet the young master stepped out solo, a cold smirk on his face as he claimed the entire army was now his prey. Not long ago, he was just another noble son of the Tulin Su clan, a lineage once grand but now fading into shadow. The ancient art of summoning death soldiers had been lost to time, leaving the clan vulnerable to the vultures of rival families. Their patriarch was dragged to the chopping block, and in a twisted game, the young master was forced to be the executioner. From that day on, he became a hollow shell, ignoring the inner power struggles to hunt for a way to restore his clan's glory. His search led him to a cursed black tome, where an ancient demon offered a deal to become the family's first demonic patron. He would rise as the ultimate sovereign, but such power demanded a soul-crushing toll that even the clan's founder had feared. To fuel his ascension, he sacrificed his own kin and endured hellish training, systematically purging every traitor and rat within his walls. Now the Predator has returned, leading a spectral host to rain divine retribution upon those who once mocked his name. With an endless legion of Tulin phantoms and the terrifying gift of perfect mimicry, he became a ghost that no one could track. The Tulin Su clan had returned with a vengeance, forcing the world to grovel in fear. High above the chaos, a cold blade waited. The steel gleamed with a murderous light, casting a suffocating darkness over the raven-haired boy standing below. As if swallowing his very spirit, the shadow loomed, while the son stood paralyzed, watching his father kneel before the Reaper. The crowd watched with bated breath, whispering in the dark about how their once mighty ruler had fallen so low. How could the king suffer such a disgrace? Keep your mouth shut or your head will be the next one in the basket. Don't forget who runs things now. These monsters don't know the meaning of mercy. The warning sent a chill down the girl's spine. She stole a glance at the tyrant lounging above, calmly sipping tea while orchestrating this bloody theater. We must vanish into the shadows, the man muttered, as the fires of war began to consume the entire continent. Commoners like us are just ants underfoot, forced to play dead while the world burns in a cycle of endless slaughter. The inferno of conflict started in the east, a relentless blaze that threatened to turn every kingdom to ash. The prestigious Marba clan was the latest to be devoured by this hellfire, proving that in this world might is the only right. While the powerful play, God the weak, are forced into a desperate scramble for survival, clinging to life by their fingernails. For those without power, every road leads to a dance with the grim reaper at the very gates of the abyss. Death was the only mercy left in this decaying land, a cold reality that had transformed the continent into a living nightmare. Watching the tragedy unfold was Count Alan de Sylvester, the man who had orchestrated the downfall of his Marba rivals. He signaled for the show to begin sending the crowd into a frenzied panic, while the boy remained as still as a tombstone. Alan's face twisted in annoyance. "Are you deaf, boy?" he roared. "Execute the order or suffer the consequences." Moving like a hollow doll on strings, the boy gripped the blade and slowly dragged his feet toward the killing machine. Alan watched with a sadistic grin, his eyes gleaming with malice. "Don't keep me waiting, sever the cord already." With heavy, soul-crushing steps, the son reached the rope and swung his hand down with a sudden, violent finality. The crowd went silent as Alan's twisted gaze feasted on the carnage. The blade fell with a sickening heavy thud. Like a butcher's knife hitting bone, the sound echoed as crimson spray painted the boy's ghost-white face. The air grew thick with the iron scent of blood, marking the moment his innocence died alongside his father. This wasn't just an execution. It was a curse that shattered the bond between Rune von Marba and the world of the living. That boy was Leon von Marba, the tragic heir who had just become the murderer of his own flesh and blood. To be the lord of a great house is to carry the weight of an entire nation's survival on your shoulders. As the saying goes, the heavier the crown, the more the heart trembles under its crushing burden. Absolute power is a poison that should only be tasted by those with the strength to survive its bite. Leon von Marba stepped into his new role as the blood-stained leaders of the clan, began his brutal education. "House Sylvester is swallowing everything," an elder barked, slamming his fist down. "They'll be at our gates by morning. My lord, we must fortify our borders." The council screamed for action, desperate for a leader to save them. "The time for silence is over, my lord. Give us a command before we lose everything we have left." Leon's gaze remained ice cold. "Quiet," he whispered. "Have patience, for I am still weighing the cost of our next move." His coldness sent a wave of panic through the room. "But lord, there is no time. The enemy is already here." The curtain fell on the legendary House Marba. My father's death was the final nail. At just 14, Leon inherited the crumbling throne left by Rune von Marba. Once feared as the Death Mage clan, their terrifying glory had faded into whispers. History had swallowed them whole. Leon stepped into the cold hall, facing his parents' portraits. He wondered what they expected of him. But the dead stay silent, deaf to his pleas. No voices from the grave would guide him. Yet he craved a spark to light his path, a way to reclaim their stolen glory. He paced forward, then suddenly stopped dead. He stared at the most ancient portrait, a man in obsidian robes with hair like shadows. Meet Wellen von Marba, the founder and the era's only true master of death magic. Legends claim the Marbas rose from a sea of blood and battlefield fire. His dark arts carved their name into history. Since then, the magic has remained dormant. Decay was inevitable. And eventually, I was the one forced to end my father's life. With these very hands. Exhausted, Leon entered his study, where a massive tome lay waiting. A crimson eye glared from the cover. The Chronicle of Wellen, a literal living legend. He crushed armies with a gesture, summoning infinite legions of the restless dead. Nothing could stop them. In 60 days, the entire East was crushed under his boot. Whispers say Wellen struck a forbidden bargain with the great demon Marba. He unsealed the continent's darkest secrets, mastering the forbidden arts of the Necronomicon, the ultimate book of shadows. With its power, he reigned as the continent's absolute overlord. Leon stared at the relic. This heirloom was the iron foundation of the Marba legacy, the only ones who could command the dead. But as he touched the spine, a voice echoed inside his skull. "Listen to me, young lord." Leon froze in shock. Telepathy in the study impossible. The anti-magic wards were active. "Who's there?" he demanded. "Show yourself." Sensing his panic, the voice purred softly. "Do not fear me. I am no enemy to your bloodline." Leon hesitated. Why should he trust this shadow? How can I make you believe? Before the words even settled, the air shifted. A ritual pulled him under. When he woke, a massive horned lion was staring him down. Its predatory gaze was locked onto him. "Where am I?" Leon gasped. The beast blinked. The beast gestured to itself. "Did your predecessor never mention me?" Leon's eyes narrowed. "Predecessor? You mean my father, Rune?" The beast bowed its massive head. "Yes, that man. Our mana bond is severed." It growled, the sound vibrating the air. "I feared this. He was too soft for a house of shadows. I knew his end would be premature. Tell me who dealt the final blow." Leon didn't flinch, meeting the beast's golden eyes. "If you want the killer, look no further. It was me." Leon's voice was ice. A shockwave blasted Leon backward, slamming him into the ground. "I will ask again. Are you really the one who slaughtered my master?" The beast's fury was suffocating. "Did you truly spill his blood?" It roared, the sound shaking Leon's very soul. "Are you truly his slayer?" Leon didn't flinch. He glared back with defiant eyes. He doubled down. "Yes, I killed my father." The lion froze, completely stunned. It let out a soul-piercing howl, searching Leon's memories until the truth finally clicked. "You were robbed of your sanity, child. You held the blade, but not the intent. You aren't his murderer." Leon didn't argue, though. He knew the grim truth. The lion sighed at the broken boy. But something beyond despair caught its attention. A terrifying darkness clung to him, a void waiting to devour his very soul. It was consuming him. How could a mere child harbor such devastating forbidden power? Peering through its mystic eye, the beast sensed Leon's insane mana and clicked its tongue. Absolutely wild. This kid might even outshine his legendary ancestors. After a brief pause, it cleared its throat. "Allow me to introduce myself. I am Marbas, one of the 72 Lords of Hell. I ditched the demon realm to live among you mortals. I was the lifelong partner of Wellen von Marbas and the architect of your clan's forbidden summoning arts." Recognizing the name from the myths, Leon replied, "I know the legends. When my forefather built House Marbas, you were the one who revealed the secrets of the spirit arts." Marbas nodded. "Correct. Although I'm now sealed within this black tome, I was once a nightmare." Suddenly, Leon's gaze turned icy. "Marbas, the king of dark sorcery. Our lore says this power is in our blood. So why did you turn your back on us?" The demon looked at the boy, totally baffled. "Abandon you? Where did you get that idea?" Leon countered. "Since the era of Wellen, no one in House Marbas has reached his level. If that's not betrayal, then what is?" Feeling insulted, Marbas stood up to set the record straight. "Let's get one thing clear. The reason your lineage can't tap into true spirit power is because you're all too pathetic to serve as vessels." Leon blinked. "A worthy vessel," Marbas smirked. "Precisely. None of you can hold a candle to Wellen's natural genius. Your bloodline is just fading away." After a moment of thought, Leon remained remarkably composed. "I'll keep your words in mind." That calm nod actually earned the demon's respect. Leon added indifferently, "Of course. The weak are crushed in times of war. That's just an immutable law of this world." Marbas asked. "Is that how you feel about your father's death too?" Leon shrugged. "Why care? His death wasn't anything special. But if you haven't totally given up on our clan Marbas, I have a request." Marbas scoffed. "A request? Not a chance. A request is an act of kindness. Where one side loses outright, dealing with a demon isn't a favor, it's a pact." Without missing a beat, Leon agreed. "Fine then. Let's make a pact for the summoning power." Noticing the demon's shock, Leon continued. "You have the power to grant me that strength." Feeling disrespected, Marbas pouted like a giant cat and looked away. "A brat like you shouldn't doubt my power. Besides, why should I help you? Do you really think you're worthy?" Leon, radiating confidence, answered, "I know I am. If I were talentless trash, I wouldn't even be standing here, talking to a high-ranking demon like you. They say just speaking to your kind drains a mortal's soul, leading to hallucinations and instant death once the conversation ends. Yet here I am still breathing. That means I have the potential." Based on what Marbas saw, Leon was full of surprises. This kid was built different, pure talent, and a steel will. So he said, like I mentioned, any deal with a demon is a pact. Don't forget that. Leon chimed in. And I'm betting you've got something worth trading for. Seeing Leon's grit, Marbus exploded into a manic laugh. Ha, brilliant. A pact it is, young heir of the spirit blood. Leon asked boldly, what's the price? Lord Marbus's eyes glowed like hellfire as he spoke. Your entire existence. Hearing this, Leon finally grinned. That's a relief. I was prepared to give everything anyway. This stunned Marbus, making him see the boy in a new light. Meanwhile, back at the clan council, the branch leaders gathered, noticeably ignoring Lord Leon's absence. Leon's uncle stroked his white beard. As you all know, gentlemen, our current head, young Leon, lacks the authority to make any real decisions for the house. Everyone nodded, staying silent. He continued, as his granduncle and closest relative, I'm stepping in to take charge of the house. I'll now take your votes on me becoming the official steward of this clan. One man stood up immediately. Opposing this would be idiocy. The kid is just an underage brat. We can't gamble our future on an unskilled child. No one is better suited than Lord Kircher, Leon's uncle, to lead us. Then another man with a gentle face spoke up hesitantly. But Leon is the only direct heir left. There's no precedent for this in our history. With a gaze like ice, he spat at the idea of an outsider heir. Who cares about the throne if we're all dead? The raiders are already here. Betting on a kid is suicide. I'm choosing to survive this mess myself. Bang, the table shook, as Pullen erupted in fury. This was too much. You traitors. You all owe your lives and titles to the late lord. Stop acting like vultures. We should be fighting for our honor, not corpses. Even without an army, Leon wasn't about to let these snakes win. That old fox won't steal the crown. Lord Rune, don't abandon us now. Kircher stood with a dark smirk. So House Leon still has a fighter. Stop the games, the man barked. Kircher's eyes turned cold and hollow. Loyalty is worthless if you're too stupid to see the end, Pullen. Did you really think I brought you here for a friendly debate? Crushing mana filled the air. Suddenly, Pullen realized he'd walked into a trap. This was your plan all along, Kircher just whispered. Think of your family. We're here for one thing, choosing the tragedy that hurts the least. Get out of the way. My wisdom will dictate how this story ends. Pullen slumped a mere pawn in the game. Forgive me, Lord Rune. While the room burned with tension, Leon remained a statue of pure calm. Marbus watched him closely before nodding. Everything looks good, mostly. But thanks to the new contract, my true power is seriously nerfed. Your father was weak, but his mana reserves were on another level. Compared to him, you're running on empty. You need to step up. So what's the move? Leon asked. Marbus sighed. No shortcuts today. With a snap, the spirit vanished, replaced by a tiny ball of fluff. You're actually cute, Leon smirked. The form was just for energy efficiency. You look like a house pet. Marbus's pride took a massive hit. The fluff bristled. Call me cute again and I'll end your life, contractor. I'll shred your face into pieces. But Leon didn't even flinch at the threat. He just tilted his head, unimpressed by the tiny furball. Not very scary. Realizing he couldn't win, Marbus turned away. Whatever. Let's get moving. Moving where? Leon asked. Marbus shot him an exasperated look. You want ancestor-level power, then walk the same hellish path he did. Sounds fair, Leon agreed. Marbus finally showed a satisfied grin. Good. Destination, the ancestral shrine. Warning, it might kill you. You still in? Why do you keep doubting me? Marbus ignored him and strode ahead. Keep up, little contractor. Leon followed with a polite, after you. Soon they stopped deep in the woods. Leon felt the shifting atmosphere. The Marbus labyrinth. Only those with Leon blood can survive this maze. Only the true heir can enter the shrine, Leon remembered the old legends. But if this is our power source, why is it so empty? Because everyone failed the vibe check, Marbus mocked. They lacked the spark. Only the purest abyssal element can open the way. Everyone else, rejected. 0 success stories so far. Leon stared at the swirling mana vortex. Understood. Let's go. Marbus raised a paw and the gates groaned open. No turning back. The trial begins now. Leon stood before the stairs. That eerie voice echoed again. Step inside my bloodline. Marba hissed a warning. Watch your step. Pact signer, you're on your own now. Leon didn't even blink at the sudden isolation. Fine. A trial of will then, Marba added smoothly. One final tip for you, boy. Obey the Black Tome. It's your map to the ultimate prize. Absolute death magic mastery. They ventured into the shadows. Ancient dust choked the air, but flickering torches still clung to life. A hidden crevice caught Leon's gaze. As he approached, ghostly green flames erupted along the stone walls. A pack of snarling goblins appeared. They were pinning a terrified girl to the cold floor. Suddenly, the Black Tome flew into Leon's grip, glowing intensely. It flipped open to its first dark decree. Listen well. To unlock this relic's true potential, you must follow these forbidden instructions to the letter. Rule 1. The art of resurrection. The price of raising the dead is first taking a living life. The prophecy ended and the goblins charged in a frenzy. Leon's eyes scanned the text one last time. Start by claiming a soul. He slammed the book shut and unsheathed his dagger with icy resolve. He locked eyes with the monsters and their victim. Solo and outnumbered, he began his lethal combat calculations. In a heartbeat, Leon dove into the fray. A goblin lunged, its sharp claws aimed for his head. Unfazed, Leon slipped past the strike. Using his momentum, he whipped his blade around in a lethal arc. The dagger bit deep into the creature's neck. Instant death. One monster down, many more to go. Flashback, years ago at the family crypt. Leon stood beside his father, who spoke with heavy gravity. Listen, Leon. In the great Marba house, what entity do we hold most sacred? Simple. We honor death. We are necromancers, the absolute masters of the final curtain. A young Leon tilted his head. But what does that mean, father? How do we honor it? I thought our path was just stealing lives to fuel our own dark hunger, right? His father beamed. You've studied our history well. We are the continent's most feared mages, but fear doesn't mean being a monster. Promise me this when you face a foe on the battlefield, and their life is in your hands. Grant them a passage that is swift and peaceful. Those words burned into Leon's soul. Back in the present, he was hip-deep in a goblin swarm. Surrounded and outgunned, Leon kept his cool. He focused entirely on the grim task at hand. I'll aim for the spine. It was the most efficient way to end a life without unnecessary agony. Marba watched from the sidelines. He realized this kid had zero actual real-world combat experience. Yet he was targeting vital points with frightening accuracy. Beginner's luck, Marba wondered. Or pure genius. The old spirit flashed a wicked grin. Leon, however, was purely focused on survival. I got one, but that was a fluke. These goblins were cunning, and the shadows were playing tricks. Distance was hard to judge, and his vision was fading. The first kill had extinguished a nearby torch. I have to adapt to this darkness fast. No more wild swings. He needed surgical precision to survive. He moved like a ghost, sliding behind his next target. Precision over power, that was the key. One silent thrust and another goblin collapsed. Its dying shriek alerted the rest of the pack immediately. They lunged, but Leon anticipated the move. He stepped aside, causing the monsters to collide in midair. He seized the moment. With a swift swing, another head rolled. As the green light flickered out, Leon wiped away the sweat. His night vision was kicking in, but there was a problem. His blade was chipped and dulling fast. It was a fancy ceremonial dagger, not a weapon built for a prolonged and bloody slaughter. Suddenly, footsteps thudded behind him. A goblin was already mid-swing, ready to split his skull open. Leon reacted instantly, catching the beast's cheek with a desperate lightning-fast slash. Marba tilted his head in confusion. Wait, did he just toss his only weapon away? Ditching the dagger, Leon ducked. He slipped behind the goblin as its heavy club hit empty air. He snatched a fallen sword from the dirt and pivoted. With a sudden burst, Leon launched upward. Leon thrust his blade upward, gutting the beast. After the goblins fell, he approached the trembling girl. He ripped the gag away, and she immediately sobbed out her gratitude, thanking him over and over. Did you save me? She rasped, though her pupils flickered with a strange, agonizing twitch. Leon plunged his sword through her, his eyes colder than death. He withdrew the blood-soaked steel. He stood over her, recalling his father's warnings about monsters that wear human faces to deceive. Having faced such horrors across the continent, he delivered another crushing strike to the creature. The monster shrieked in agony as Leon echoed his father's decree, those who betray trust simply do not deserve the mercy of a quick or peaceful death. They must endure the same soul-crushing despair they inflict. Class is in session, he muttered coldly. After letting the beast wallow in pain, he delivered the final blow, sending it straight to hell. The eerie green glow faded. Meanwhile, at a lavish mansion, a decadent ball was in full swing. Amidst the laughter of nobles, Lord Kircher smirked. Finally, the Marba legacy was within his reach. Indeed, my lord, his companion purred. Why let a brat lead when a true gentleman is ready? Unbelievable, Kircher. I never thought you'd use those lowlifes to secure your ultimate prize. The group continued to shower Kircher with praise, feeding his ego without a shred of restraint. Allying with the enemy was a gamble only a man with iron nerves would take. Kircher just laughed. You flatter me. We might have to endure those Sylvester pests for now, he admitted with a sneer. But it beats letting Leon drag our noble bloodline into ruin. That kid is a walking disaster. In the end, there is no better candidate than me to seize control of this destiny. As Kircher basked in his victory, a guest leaned in asking about the young heir's fate. What about Leon? The people were fiercely loyal to his father. Eliminating him won't be easy. Kircher dismissed the concern with a wave. There is no need to make this complicated, my friend. His demise will be justified once the dust settles. After all, dead men tell no tales. And neither do their sons. Kircher's face twisted with malice, prompting a dark laugh from his guest. True. The last time a corpse spoke was centuries ago when our founder dabbled in the dark arts. They clinked their glasses together, shouting a toast to their new leader, the mighty Lord Kircher. The two snakes continued their celebration deep into the night, intoxicated by their own perceived brilliance. Miles away at the Sylvester stronghold, Alan reviewed the latest intel. The trap was closing. Everything is on track, a subordinate confirmed. That old fox Kircher is dancing on our strings. He's just a pawn. Once the Crown gives the word, I'll launch a full-scale invasion and crush them. Alan grinned, his eyes burning with the fire of a man who hungered for absolute power. They think I'd wait to start another war. How cute. Their ignorance is my perfect playground. Your foresight is unmatched, my lord, an aide gushed. No one else could have orchestrated this. Alan stared at the photograph before him, his lip curling in disgust at the man's pathetic face. Kircher was it. To think a legendary house would fall because of a spineless coward like him. Centuries of Marba glory extinguished by a fool who thinks he's in charge. It's almost poetic. Tonight is going to be legendary. Accelerate our plans. I want everything ready, immediately understood. Yes, my lord, they echoed. Alan could already taste the victory. It was only a matter of time. He smirked like a predator. First I broke the father, now I'll make the son scream. Back in the shadowed temple, Leon stood as the sole survivor. Every other nightmare had been purged. Total darkness swallowed the chamber as the last cursed torches died. Was the battle finally over? Suddenly the room erupted in light. The torches roared back to life with a warm natural glow. The sickening green haze was gone. The corruption was cleansed and the air finally felt pure. Leon exhaled, running a hand through his messy hair. Beside him, the entity Marba began to cackle. Incredible. I've never seen a contractor as insane as you. With a maniacal grin, it lunged at him. Before he could blink, the creature pinned Leon down, delivering a soft, fleshy kick to send Marba flying while its mouth rattled incessantly. You definitely have the moxie to survive an orc camp, provided you don't lose your cool. Leon endured Marba's frantic babbling as it climbed over him. Leon just let Marba scramble across his face, listening to the creature's high-pitched praise and laughter. Ha, what a joke. No matter the disguise, that monster's human form was a total fail. Yet you didn't hesitate, you skewered it the moment you saw it. Leon stayed dead, still letting Marba finish its little freakout before finally snatching it by the arms. Hoisting it up, he admitted, Look, I'd rather not scrap with orcs. Word on the street is they despise humans more than anyone. But Marba was way too hyped to listen. The creature cut him off mid-sentence, vibrating with excitement. Never mind that. How did you figure out the final beast was linked to the others? Give me the tea. Leon took a beat before dropping the logic. Simple. When the lights went out, one flame was still burning bright as day. Marba barked, Got it, keep going. Leon, totally unfazed, continued his breakdown. The second I walked in, I noticed something off. The torchlight here wasn't normal. It was burning with an eerie, sickly green glow. I recognized that as deathlight. Every time a monster bit the dust, one flame would flicker out one by one. But even after the goblins were wiped, one torch refused to die. It was a dead giveaway. I knew another beast was lurking. I wasn't about to move an inch until that thing was dealt with. Silence fell between them. Internally, Marba's thoughts were chillingly cold. This kid was built different. I didn't expect a 14-year-old to piece that together under such pressure. Most people freeze when their life is on the line. Analyzing the situation is hard enough, but acting without a second's doubt, Leon did it in the blink of an eye. He slaughtered every single enemy. Honestly, it's not just his massive mana pool that's intriguing, it's something far more sinister. This is getting spicy. I can't wait to see what other tricks he's hiding up his sleeve. After a sly smirk, it addressed Leon. All right, kid. Welland's first trial is officially in the bag. Time to level up. On to the next challenge. The Dark Grimoire started barking out fresh instructions. First, you take a life. Then you drag the fallen back from the grave. Leon stared, barely believing his ears. Resurrection. He paused, processing the dark logic before speaking up with a skeptical brow raised. The deathlight shifted its predatory gaze to the mangled goblin corpses, wearing a bloodthirsty grin that screamed, Let's go. Marba snapped. Spot on. Now look closer at those goblins you just wrecked. Pump mana into your eyes. See those faint threads? They're tethering the corpses to a realm you can't even imagine. Leon focused, and sure enough, ghostly purple strands were swaying in the air. Marba began the necromancy lesson. That's the death line, Marba explained. Leon watched as the cord bridged the gap between the living and the dead. It tethers the soul to the afterlife. Marba flicked one of the strands, confirming Leon's suspicion with a nod. A true Deathlight mage rips a wandering soul from the void, then brings it back to the physical world. They bind that soul with their own mana, fueling the corpse with new, twisted life. Now they're just puppets on strings. Check this out. Marba instantly reanimated the fallen goblins. Strange marks glowed on their foreheads. The undead servant suddenly lunged at Leon with blinding, lethal speed. A blade whistled through the air, stopping inches from Leon's throat. This, Marba grinned, is the art of imprinting. There are other ways to craft thralls, but for monsters this is the gold standard. It's effective and brutal. We'll save the advanced stuff for later. Leon stood up slowly, his expression unreadable. I get it, Marba shrugged, then give it a shot. But Leon didn't move. He had one more question burning in his mind. Once he got the answer he needed, he spoke up. I've heard turning a human is way harder than a beast. Am I ready? Marba's interest peaked. It was like the book was asking if he already had a victim picked out. Leon didn't flinch. I do. Marba narrowed its eyes. Oh, who's the unlucky soul? About to have a very bad day. Leon's face turned to stone, dripping with pure venom. Kurtzer von Marba, my one and only uncle. That arrogant clown hasn't realized death is knocking. He's still busy getting wasted celebrating a victory that hasn't even happened. The drinks kept flowing as Kurtzer laughed, downing cup after cup with his cronies. The old head was a total moron, Kurtzer sneered. Since he kicked the bucket, my life has been nothing but easy street. That's how it goes. You seize the moment or you get crushed. Don't you agree? He grinned, clearly fishing for a compliment. All that's left is to sweep away the final pest. You must be feeling pretty relieved by now. Lord Kurtzer. Kurtzer didn't even flinch, dismissing the thought with a lazy, arrogant wave of his hand. Squashing that brat is light work. Now raise your glasses and drink up. Let's bask in this glory. Suddenly, a deafening explosion rocked the entire mansion. The support for the heavy chandelier snapped instantly, sending the massive light crashing onto the table. The girls shrieked in terror, scrambling to escape the chaos. Kurtzer stood there stunned. What was that? His companion was trembling. This place was shielded by high-level wards, so how could a simple breeze shake the foundation? Suddenly, Kurtzer sensed a presence and signaled for silence. He glared into the shadows and barked, "Who's there? No one in Marba territory dares to challenge me anymore." A chilling voice from behind made Kurtzer jump. What gave you that idea? Uncle Leon stood tall, his eyes burning with a lethal, icy intensity. Seeing Leon, Kurtzer didn't even seem bothered for long. Oh, look who decided to show up. The pathetic, fallen head of House Marba. He signaled his men forward. Leon narrowed his eyes, his voice dripping with frost. I appreciate you still recognizing me as the rightful heir. Kurtzer barked a confident laugh. I see no reason for you to sneak in at this ungodly hour. Leon's tone became cold and superior. That's a strange question. Does the master of this house really need a reason to see his servant? Must I announce my moves just for your comfort? Kurtzer's ego flared, and he snapped back. A worthy leader wouldn't need to sneak around. But we both know you're a fraud. Don't we panicking because your seat is about to be stolen? Too late, you little brat. Your father isn't around to protect you anymore. Leon pulled back the curtain, revealing a face of heroic determination. No, I've finally learned that I'm the only protection I'll ever need. Kurtzer howled at the joke. Haha, so your big wisdom told you, coming here alone was smart. You're acting like you've got lives to spare. That's bold, uncle, but the real mistake is assuming I'm here by myself. Kurtzer's smile vanished. What? Before he could finish, the very ground beneath him began to quake violently. He stared at the floor, terrified. This wasn't normal magic. This was the abyss, a darkness far deeper than anyone could possibly imagine. His pupils contracted as he realized the impossible truth. No way. It's the Deathlight. To confirm the nightmare, Leon whispered back, yeah, it's the Deathlight. He looked at the arrogant fool as if to say, you're trapped and you are officially finished. Kurtzer's laughter died as he screamed, but how is this possible? Even my brother couldn't summon them while he lived. Leon, pitying the doomed man, gave him one final lesson. Don't you get it? House Marba has always been, and from this moment on will remain, the true masters of the Deathlight. Kurtzer gnashed his teeth and roared, butcher those disgusting monsters right now. The soldiers charged forward without hesitation. Leon watched the fools rush to their deaths, looking at them like heaps of garbage who had overestimated themselves. At that exact moment, a goblin lunged, cleaving through a vanguard soldier. The man only realized his fate as his life faded. He tried to fight back, thinking his training would save him, but his overconfidence just earned him a one-way ticket to the grave. He collapsed as the other guards watched in pure horror. The death servants, fueled by Leon's command, tore through the room like a relentless hurricane of blades. Kurtzer stammered, his face pale as he watched the carnage. Monsters. He stared blankly at the spreading bloodshed. Everything was wrong. This defied all logic. If my eyes aren't lying, that brat is actually summoning them. Driven by desperation, he condensed a sphere of dark magic in his palm, hissing in fury as he glared at Leon. How dare you profane the sacred power of our ancestors? Leon's reply was bone-chilling. Is it really that strange for a Marba master to command his own servants? Kurtzer roared in denial. Absurd. The secret of the Deathlight was buried in history ages ago. Even your father couldn't touch it. You think I'll believe a worthless brat like you is any different? I won't accept this. Seeing him still talking trash, Leon decided to indulge him. If you need proof, I'll give it to you. But warning, uncle, it's the last mistake you'll make. Instantly, a horde of goblins rose from the shadows, lunging at their target with bloodthirsty intent. Kurtzer spun the orb of shadow between his fingers, gnashing his teeth, before charging headlong into the fray. Crawl back to the void. The sphere hit its mark, causing goblin flesh to liquefy and collapse in a heap of rot. A twisted grin spread across Kurtzer's face at the sight. Yet, despite their decaying forms, the goblins weren't done. They lurched back to their feet, A sinister aura intensified as their eyes burned crimson, launching a frenzied counter-assault. Panic seized Kircher. His courage shattered instantly, and he spun around, screaming, "Someone kill these freaks now!" His heart dropped as he scanned the room. Every single one of his followers lay motionless, piled like trash on the stone floor. Cornered Kircher desperately channeled his remaining shadows, raining desperate bolts of dark energy upon the encroaching horde. The monsters barely slowed down. "Curse it all," he spat, realizing the bitter truth he'd tried to ignore. His mana was barely above a rookie's level, and the booze in his system wasn't helping. He was in deep trouble. Brute force wasn't going to save him. Pivoting to threats, he barked, "Betray me and you'll regret ever being born." You think this is a joke, but before the words could even hang in the air, a goblin sprang. Its jagged steel tore right through his ribcage, a white-hot agony exploding in his chest. Kircher's eyes nearly popped from their sockets as he glared at Leon, summoning one last orb. But as his strength faded, the magic flickered and died. "You'd really turn on your own kin," Kircher hissed through the blood. "Heaven will never forgive you." Leon's gaze remained ice-cold. "I remember a line from a history book once. On the battlefield there are only winners and losers. History is written by the side that's still standing." "You're lecturing me now," Kircher snarled. Leon shrugged. "Maybe I don't fully get it yet. But one thing is certain, only the person who wins gets to decide who is forgiven. You enjoyed that privilege once, didn't you? Right after you shoved a blade into my father's back. Anything to save your own skin." But the clock just ran out. Exposed, Kircher roared for him to shut his mouth. Leon ignored the outburst, signaling the goblins. "Uncle, or should I say Lord Kircher, don't expect a polite goodbye. I want you to feel every second of what's coming. Today is the day you lose everything. Consider this your sentence, you won't be seeing another sunrise." As the young lord finished his decree, the goblins swarmed. Kircher's vision filled with the cold silver flash of a blade aiming straight for his throat. A gut-wrenching scream tore through the air. Blood sprayed the walls as Kircher's body slumped forever silent. Marba wiped a drop of blood from his lip, whispering, "Utterly insane. Even a demon would find this cold-blooded. A total rookie using Deathlight summoning this perfectly on round 1. It's like you've been doing this for a decade." Leon just stared down at the corpse in silence. Then a dark spark lit up his eyes as an idea formed. "I just had a brilliant thought," Leon mused. Marba's smile twitched. Brilliant, or absolutely terrifying. Day 2, the council doors swung open, but the head seat was empty. "Another meeting already," someone groaned. "What's Kircher's deal this time?" another asked. "No clue. I'm just as lost as you are. Even his right-hand man isn't here yet. We're stuck waiting." One bald lord nervously mopped sweat from his brow. These emergency sessions were never good news. What if House Sylvester is planning something? What if they break the treaty and strike while we're vulnerable? A man with long hair waved him off. "Relax, don't be so paranoid. They wouldn't dare break a pact between two major powers. Restarting a war needs the vassal's green light anyway." The blonde lord nodded. "True enough. We'll get answers soon enough once Kircher officially takes the throne." The heavy doors creaked open. Leon stepped inside his presence so icy it sucked the air right out of the room. The lords exchanged frantic whispers. Wait, wasn't Kircher supposed to be the one calling this? Why is Leon here? Is he actually trying to challenge the succession right now? If not, then what's his endgame? Sensing their confusion, Leon threw them a chilling look. He yanked back the main chair and sat down. "Were you expecting someone else in this seat? I'm afraid he won't be making it today. To be blunt, he's physically unable to attend." "Unable? What do you mean by that?" Leon's voice was flat. "He's dead." The room went deathly silent. "Dead, I killed him myself. Any more questions? Does anyone else have something to say?" Leon's voice echoed through a room frozen in pure shock. Suddenly, one councilman barked out a furious demand. "My lord, we need more than these vague excuses. How do you plan to justify the death of House Marba's senior elder? Especially when we haven't even finished mourning your predecessor." Despite the verbal assault, Leon stood there completely unfazed. Sensing his cold silence, another elder chimed in. "You might be the head now, but you owe us a real explanation." Leon's eyes darkened as he scanned the room. "Kircher von Marba," he stated coldly, "was nothing but a rat who betrayed this house. He didn't just turn his back on my father. He leaked our most classified secrets to the enemies in House Sylvester. He even plotted a coup to steal the leadership that belongs to me." The man who had just shouted was now paralyzed with fear. Despite the terrified stares cutting through the air, Leon leaned forward. "What I find truly fascinating is this. I have every right to execute a traitor on the spot, yet you're all risking your necks to defend him. Why such suspicious loyalty?" The entire chamber plunged into a suffocating silence. No one dared to breathe after that accusation. The elder who had questioned him earlier began to sweat, realizing the gravity of the situation. This meeting was called in Kircher's name, but the man was nowhere to be found. It was the ultimate proof that the senior elder had already been purged. Nearby, a man with spiky hair was spiraling in confusion. How could a veteran like Kircher be taken down by a kid like you? But the smarter ones were already playing the political game. Grieving for Kircher was a death sentence. If Leon truly assassinated him, Single-handedly, they needed to flip sides immediately. One man scrambled to his feet. "My lord, I swear I was kept in the dark." He desperately tried to rally the others to condemn the dead traitor, terrified that Leon was wielding some godlike magic. A blonde man nearby saw which way the wind was blowing and joined the frantic defense. "We're innocent, I tell you. We had no idea that old snake was plotting such a disgusting betrayal." Leon's patience snapped. "Silence," he commanded before leveling a chilling gaze at everyone present. "Your excuses might be true, but it doesn't change your ultimate sin: negligence. You let a traitor rot this house from the inside, right under your noses." A man who prided himself on being street smart hissed under his breath. "Damn it. This brat played us all from the start." However, the spiky-haired man wasn't ready to fold. "Fine, well said, my lord. But one massive detail is still missing. If Kircher was really the traitor, where's the proof? For all we know, you just murdered an innocent man to seize power." Leon let out a disappointed sigh, as if he had expected this. He rose slowly, his presence filling the entire room. "You reacted exactly how someone much wiser than me predicted." An elder blinked. "Predicted? Who are you talking about?" Suddenly, a shadowy figure appeared on Leon's shoulder and bowed. Leon gave a slight nod, his eyes glowing with a dark intent. He began weaving a spell that felt like death itself. "You want your precious proof? Fine. I'll let Kircher von Marba explain his own betrayal." Darkness instantly swallowed the chamber as a murderous aura exploded. Leon's icy voice cut through the gloom. "By the blood of House Marba, I summon the cursed spirit still tethered to this world." At his command, the ground groaned as the dead began to rise. Their hollow, pitch-black eyes locked onto the living council members. The spellbook in Leon's hand radiated a suffocating energy. The elders descended into pure chaos as they realized the truth. This wasn't just magic, it was a high-level death-summoning ritual. How could he cast something so taboo so effortlessly? Kircher's rotting, twisted soul tore its way out of the book. The worldly elder screamed in terror, clutching his head. "Is it possible? Has he actually mastered our family's lost forbidden arts?" Leon looked down at the ghost. "Kircher, speak. Confess your sins with whatever logic your pathetic soul has left." The spirit began to writhe and groan in agony. One man trembled, his voice cracking. "Kircher, is that really you?" Leon shot him, a look of pure disgust. "I'm tired of the questions. Why are you so shocked? Isn't death magic the very foundation of House Marba?" Then Leon gave the signal. The vengeful spirits howled and lunged forward. The blond man shrieked, "Run for your lives, get out of here." A brown-haired man tried to bolt, shoving someone aside. "Get out of my way, move, damn you." But his heart stopped when he realized the person he just pushed was now a headless corpse standing perfectly still. A pathetic, shaking voice cried out from behind him. "Help me, someone please." The blond man was crawling through the dirt, begging for his life. His legs had been cleanly sliced off, leaving a gruesome trail of red. He looked up and froze. A shadow loomed over him, blocking any hope of escape. Leon glared down at him like a god of judgment. "Don't be in such a hurry. This meeting isn't over until I say it is." With a flick of his wrist, Kircher's tormented spirit was bent to Leon's absolute will by the dark energy. Leon closed in on the blond man, whose mangled, decaying corpse twisted unnaturally, as if trying to speak. His voice was chillingly steady. "I'll ask one last time, Kurtz, is there a single person here who's actually innocent? Was there anyone oblivious to your filth?" The spirit's shattered, gravelly voice rasped out an immediate response. Every loyalist to the former lord turned. Not a soul in this room was blind to my betrayal. The confession sent the room into a tailspin. Leon nodded coldly. "Found it." The blond man dissolved into panicked shrieks. "Lord, please have mercy," the noble sobbed. Beside him, the brown-haired man scrambled to speak. "I'll talk, I'll confess everything." The spiky-haired noble didn't miss a beat, desperately pleading, "Please, give us a chance to prove our loyalty to you." "My lord," he yelped, but his blood ran cold. In a heartbeat, he felt the icy grip of death behind him. Shrieks of pure terror echoed until the room went deathly silent. Only then did Leon speak with terrifying gentleness. "By the authority of the head of house," Marbas Leon announced to the council, slamming his grimoire shut. With the trial over, he officially proclaimed that the dark arts of necromancy were finally restored in House Marbas. Leon stood motionless among the mountain of bodies. He let out a sharp scoff before summoning a trembling hidden servant. "Where is Lord Pullen right now?" The servant nearly fainted from fear, stuttering out a shaky, evasive answer. He's in the dungeon, my lord, accused of high treason." Leon's eyes narrowed. "Lead the way. Now." The servant nodded frantically, but as Leon neared the exit, he paused with a sudden dark thought. His voice was pure venom. "Run if you want, but know this, there are consequences for cowards. What happens next isn't my responsibility." In the halls, the remaining staff lay paralyzed with fear on the floor. They watched him with wide, watery eyes as his threat sank in. "For your own sake, choose your next move wisely." The heavy doors slammed shut with a metallic ring. Meanwhile, at House Sylvester, a butler arrived with an urgent letter. "A message for you, my lord." Alan snatched the parchment, a smug grin forming as he muttered, "Finally." He devoured the lines, his eyes gleaming with malicious joy. Perfect, he breathed, turning to his servant with excitement. Incredible. Even the royal court has washed their hands of House Marbas. The butler gave a snide, knowing bow. Naturally, sir. Outside of their dusty ancestors, that family has been a complete joke for centuries. Their money and influence are a total disaster, honestly, it's embarrassing. Alan nodded. You're right about that. They've got no gold, and even fewer men. He tossed the letter aside, his mind finally made up. We're sticking to the plan. House Marbas is finally going to crawl at my feet. The noble war next month will be their funeral. Are we ready? The butler bowed his head in loyalty. Absolutely, my lord. Alan leaned in, his voice dropping to a low hiss. There's no way we lose right. The butler didn't flinch. Unless a legendary necromancer suddenly appears after hundreds of years of failure, or if the great Wellen von Marbas literally climbs out of his grave, we have zero chance of failing. Alan's face split into a predatory grin. Then this victory is already ours. Back in the Marbas dungeons, Pullen was on his knees, his voice cracking as he begged Leon for forgiveness. I've been such a fool. I let Kurtz's filth spread right under my nose, he sobbed. I put your very life at risk. He bowed his head low. My head is yours to take. Leon watched him, his expression totally unreadable. As Pullen trembled in shame, Leon's mind raced. This man was one of the last true Marbas loyalists. He was the only one brave enough to stand against my uncle. I need him on my side. Leon reached down and pulled him up. Get up, Lord Pullen. We have a lot of work to do. I need your strength. Pullen blinked, stunned. My strength? But I'm just a failure. Before Leon could answer, the dramatic tension was killed by a few flies buzzing annoyingly around Pullen's head. Leon sighed, cutting the moment short. Go wash up first, then meet me in the family study. We'll talk strategy then. Pullen broke down in tears of gratitude, praising Leon's unbelievable mercy. Overwhelmed with emotion, Pullen swore an eternal oath of blood and loyalty to his new master. Later that evening, Leon stood alone in his room until Marbas suddenly materialized out of thin air. The creature perched on his shoulder, casually grooming itself. So kid, what's the move? The choice is yours. It's all on you. A beat passed. Suddenly, Pullen's voice exploded in total shock. What? Leon's plan had him shaking but reaching out to the Sylvesters. That was a straight-up death sentence. Masked as Kircher, Pullen forced his panic down to scan the room with cold precision. The pressure to pull off this legendary performance weighed heavy, yet Leon didn't even blink. With chilling focus, Leon unleashed his mana. Then a twisted nightmare-fuel shadow crawled from the void. Within seconds, it morphed into a perfect Kircher clone. Pullen was floored by this dark miracle. Staring in disbelief, he wondered how his master could remain so stone-cold while playing God. Leon had literally turned his own flesh and blood into a puppet, his expression completely heartless. The rumors among the retainers were wild, but witnessing this haunting reality in person was incomparable. Overwhelmed by the sheer gravity of it, Pullen finally choked out, so the whispers were true. That you've conquered the forbidden art of necromancy. Leon gave a slight, indifferent nod. Pretty much. Bitter resentment burned in Pullen's chest. If House Marvis still held its ancient peak necromantic might, they could have ruled everything. Why did fate have to nerf their bloodline so brutally? With a true necromancer's grip, no throne would be out of reach. Why was their legacy rotting? My lord, they'll spot the cracks eventually. He warned that undead usually fail the vibe check. Handwriting, voice, tiny habits, the dead don't mimic life perfectly. Leon surprisingly shrugged in agreement. That's only if I were using Kircher's actual corpse to build a fake, Leon began to explain. But this is the undead remains of a doppelganger I recently hunted down. It's a freak of nature that steals faces, memories, and powers. Pullen stood there, absolutely floored. While Pullen reeled from the shock, Leon flashed back to the moment he cornered the beast. He remembered pulling his blood-soaked blade, free lungs burning in the shrine's suffocating darkness. Looking at the fresh kill, Leon asked, "What is this thing?" Marba hissed one word, doppelganger. It's a nightmare that mirrors its victim's soul and skills. A truly devious, terrifying predator. It preys on the lost, even wearing the face of Leon's companion to find an opening. Marba's warning echoed it, slaughters the original and devours every one of their close companions. Leon drifted into thought. What now? Meanwhile, Marba watched the scene with a twisted satisfaction. He mused that life and death truly bend to a strong will. Suddenly, the creature's remains twitched. Thick, suffocating death aura spilled out as the monster rose like a puppet on strings. Marba chuckled. You've left quite the grim inheritance for your favorite descendant, haven't you? The girl's face, the doppelganger's chosen skin, twisted into a smirk, her eyes glowing with icy malice. Enveloped in a silent fog of necromantic energy, the hollow shell stood ready for Leon's command. Leon looked at the monstrosity. Am I supposed to be happy? Marba laughed. Absolutely you should. Just remember, it can only mimic those you've actually met. The ancient voice boomed from above. A grotesque shape swirled within the dark mist. Marba ignored it, continuing his grim lecture. If their mana outranked yours in life, they're impossible to bring back. Not even as a shell. Do you accept the price, oath-bound one? Despite your talent, you're still remarkably green. He gestured toward the grimoire Leon clutched. a heavy reminder of the weight he was carrying. Trapping your uncle's soul is one thing, but controlling it long term, that's the real challenge. Without a plan, that soul will just crumble into nothingness. Listen, Marba urged, leave this place. He suggested vanishing until the heat died down, but Leon cut him off with razor-sharp intent. Zero chance. I'm not turning my back on my family's legacy. His resolve was absolute. If I dip, who's left? The innocent here will be butchered or enslaved by those Sylvester invaders, Marba growled. So you're really going to bet your life on this losing hand? Leon didn't flinch. I'd die for them in a heartbeat. Marba couldn't wrap his head around it. Was it just blind loyalty to a dying name? To what end? The question didn't linger. Marba shifted his focus back to the nightmare fuel that had finally taken shape. Forget the small talk. We've got bigger problems. The girl's physical form had fully dissolved into nothingness, leaving behind a haunting entity of pure abyssal death. Marba gestured toward it. He's all yours, Leon. Tame this beast and make it your own reaper. Intrigued by the monster's eerie origins, Leon asked, what is this thing? Marba shrugged. A relic. One of Welland's old death-dealing servants. But be careful. In your current state, controlling this creep will be tough. He's got a nasty attitude. With the answer clear, Leon focused the grimoire's dark matrix on the beast and began the ritual. Ghost of the Abyss, answer the call of the Marba bloodline. Leon von Marba summons you back from the grave. Instantly, the swirling mass of death began to stabilize rapidly, shifting into a human silhouette. It stared blankly at Leon. Its eyes rolled back in a trance. Whack! Marba smacked its head. Wake up, Shadow. The party started. Marba grinned. After centuries, I finally found a Sani. The creature, Black Fruit, flailed around in total confusion, while Marba scolded the clueless spirit for being so slow. Fix your face before you talk, or no one will understand you. Black Fruit actually took that to heart. Suddenly, the death energy swirled, and Leon's own cold face emerged, mocking Marba instantly. Big talk for a scruffy little alley cat. Those words sent Marba into an absolute rage. You tired of living punk? Black Fruit had fully mimicked Leon's look, laughing at Marba's fury. I'm already dead, you stupid furball. Leon just watched his own face mock his friend with total calm. That surreal memory finally clicked shut. Back in the present, Pullen was locked in deep thought. If they could replicate Kircher's tiny habits from memory, they could definitely fool the Sylvesters. My lord, he said confidently, this plan is foolproof. I'll make sure it succeeds no matter the cost. Leon nodded. That's the spirit I need. Lord Pullen hesitated, then asked, if I may, my lord, one last question before we go. Leon's silence gave him the green light. Pullen finally voiced the worry eating at him. The Sylvesters have the crown's backing to wipe us out. They're coming for House Marba again. Why stay in such a death trap? Wouldn't running away give us a better chance to survive? Those words hit home, reminding Leon of Marba's advice to flee and find a new way. But Leon stood firm. Protecting this house is my duty. That unshakable resolve deeply moved Pullen. Then I, Pullen, vow my life to you. But what is your real motivation, my lord? The question seemed to catch Leon off guard. He paused, looking for an honest answer. To be honest, I've been asking myself that for ages. Pullen blinked in shock. Wait, really? Yeah, Leon admitted. No grand hero complex here. I just want to be a worthy clan lord. But what does worthy even look like? The answer was still a total mystery to him. Pullen was speechless. Leon just kept his cool, staring out at his domain. I'm just buying time, Leon said with a cold, slight smile. Time to find that answer for myself, and I'll crush anyone who tries to take what belongs to us. He looked back at his path. If I can avoid my father's mistakes and keep what's mine, then maybe one day, I'll understand why I'm fighting. That's all. Nothing fancy. He finished with a relieved smile. That night in the bedroom, Black Fruit shifted into Leon's form once again to talk trash. Can't believe this house fell so hard. You've got your work cut out for you. The cat spirit snapped. That's master to you. Don't you dare talk down to our Sani like that. Black Fruit just shrugged. Chill, Lord. Marba doesn't seem to care about those stiff formalities anyway. Marba was about to blow up, but then he stopped and looked at Leon. Ahem. Sani, has anyone ever told you that you're totally oblivious to social vibes? Leon lowered his head. Yeah, actually. Why? He laughed it off. He broke down Black Fruit's origin for Leon, revealing the beast was once Welland's own contracted shadow. Essentially, he's a living heirloom passed to you. For generations, Black Fruit served your bloodline as a loyal killer. Leon absorbed the intel with a calculating nod. A shape-shifting assassin. That's an elite asset for any war. Sensing Leon's approval, he threw a smug jab at Marba. A master slayer like this is perfect for House Sani, unlike some stray cat with a massive ego. Marba hissed back. I'm no cat. Watch your mouth or face the abyss. Leon tuned out their petty squabbling, his gaze turning razor-sharp. He looked at the beast with total gravity. I truly need your unique lethality. Black Fruit ignored the noise and locked eyes with his new master. Can you mimic my late Uncle Curter? The beast smirked, claiming it would be easier than swallowing a snake. Marba didn't miss the weird slip-up. He immediately pounced on the blunder with a mocking sneer. You moron, it's piece of cake, not eating a snake. Get your human idiom straight. Black Fruit just shrugged. Why eat dry sweets when you could enjoy the rush of fresh venom? Leon just sighed at the absurdity. Different strokes for different folks, I guess. We all have our tastes. Marba groaned. Don't indulge this fool Saini. Suddenly, a thunderous pounding shook the heavy door. Poland came charging in, looking completely rattled. My lord, forgive the intrusion, but this is urgent. He slammed a sealed letter onto the desk. A direct message from House Sylvester. It just arrived by courier. Leon scanned the parchment. It wasn't a greeting, it was a formal declaration of total war. For a century, House Marba had abandoned its noble duties. Now their rivals were coming for their head. Under Count Alinda Sylvester's banner, they accused the Marbas of greed and failing their own people. The ultimatum was clear: surrender within the month, or prepare for absolute slaughter. If they bowed now, the people would be spared. But if Leon refused to kneel, in 30 days, the Sylvester legions would march to level Marba territory into a wasteland of ash. It was a death warrant signed in the Emperor's name. Marba narrowed his eyes. The storm is finally here. Leon's voice was cold as a grave. 1 month. That's exactly how long we have left. Marba tried to provoke him. What's wrong? Is the mighty Saini finally feeling the weight of fear? He leaped down, his tone turning serious. We lack the numbers. We should retreat and regroup our forces. Leon cut him off, his eyes glowing with a dark, predatory light. You've misunderstood me, Marba. Dark mana swirled in his palm as a chilling smile played on his lips. The timing isn't the problem. I just don't think I have the patience to wait a whole month. Marba shivered. This kid was insane. Their army numbers in the hundreds. This isn't your pathetic uncle. Don't underestimate a real military force. Are you truly going to face them? Leon answered with a gaze that could freeze the sun. We'll manage. He raised his hand, summoning a torrent of black chi thick, with the screams of souls. The stench of death filled the air. This time, there's no mercy. I'll simply erase every life in my path. By the next morning, the local market was buzzing with terrified whispers. The atmosphere was suffocating. Did you hear young Curter vanished in broad daylight? The rumors were spreading like a plague. An old man sighed. First the Lord dies, now this. The heavens have truly cursed our house. I hope the young heir is okay. He's lost so much in such a short time, another added fearfully. How can one boy survive this coming carnage? A young man eavesdropping finally spoke up. The Lord's son, don't worry about him. I have a feeling he's going to be just fine. Still, the shadow of the Sylvester army felt like a noose tightening around the city gates. A sharp voice suddenly cut through the gossip. The crowd jumped as Poland stepped into the light. Watch your tongues, he warned darkly. Gossip is a poison that only breeds more fear. Walking just behind him was Leon, his presence projecting a terrifying silent authority. The townspeople scrambled to bow. Lord Poland. We were just sharing some idle talk, nothing more. They turned to Leon with pitying eyes. Our condolences, my lord. This loss is a tragedy for us all. The grief must be unbearable. Leon stopped them in their tracks, his face an unreadable mask of iron. Actually, my uncle hasn't kicked the bucket yet. He's just bedridden, fighting a sudden brutal illness. In his mind, Leon knew the truth must stay hidden. For now, the world must believe he's still breathing. Leon calmly eased the locals' fears. There's no need to stress, he assured them, with a practiced smile. He cut the talk short and turned away. To trick your enemies, you first have to fool your squad. Deceiving allies is step one. As they hit the road, Leon pulled Poland aside for a private order. The staff and witnesses must stay silent. Poland nodded instantly. Understood, my lord. Consider it done. You can count on me, he added, before carefully asking why Leon had even come to town. What's your goal here, sir? Just say the word, and I'll have everything ready in a heartbeat. Leon's reply was short. I've got personal business to settle. Suddenly, Marba chimed in from the shadows. Resting on Leon's shoulder, the demon whispered, I detect a massive surge of mana nearby. It's coming from that place. They found themselves facing a structure with its heavy doors bolted shut. Leon moved toward it alone. Poland, stay put until I'm back. Poland called out, his voice laced with worry. My lord is solo. Really the move? Leon didn't blink. Yes. Fong, lock this door the moment I enter. Let nobody in or out. Inside, it was pure chaos as workers scrambled to clean up the mess. Leon spotted a beastman and whispered, Marba, is that our guy? Marba's voice was certain. Absolutely. The boy was a young beastman, his skin a roadmap of scars and his gaze completely hollow. Marba scoffed in disappointment. What a waste of top-tier talent. Your house clearly lacks eyes for true potential. Your staff is clueless. Leon stepped closer to the kid, his voice soft. Excuse me, may I have a moment? Seeing Leon, the beast boy panicked and hit the floor. Forgive me, young master. Things got messy at the bar last night because of some punks. Please come back later. Suddenly a woman stormed out and delivered a brutal kick to the boy. Walter, shut it. Is that any way to talk to royalty? She flashed Leon a fake grin. Apologies for the disrespect, sir. We didn't mean for this trash to greet you. She immediately turned her venom back on Walter. She shrieked at him. You useless brat. Do you even know who this is? Take a good look. This is Master Marba. The beast boy didn't move, trembling on the floor. My bad, ma'am. I'm new here and didn't know, he whimpered. Leon remained calm and composed. Like I mentioned before, Leon repeated, I need a few minutes of your time. The woman beamed, oh, I'm all yours, young master. I've got plenty of free time. Leon gave her the cold shoulder. I wasn't talking to you. He locked eyes with Walter. He made it clear Walter was his target. He remembered Marba's words about the boy's hidden power. This kid is a diamond in the rough. He'll be a legend. The boy stayed pinned to the floor. Panic surged through him as he looked up. What did she just say? This kid is the heir of Marba. Suddenly, Leon unleashed dark magic tendrils of chi swirling toward Walter. The energy mended every scar. Walter stared at his healed skin in total shock. You cured me. Leon asked one more time, so, can we talk now? Suddenly, the innkeeper shoved her way back in. Blocking his path, she sneered, hate to break it to you, but this beast is my property. His time isn't his to give. You should have asked me. Leon smirked. She clearly didn't know he'd killed his uncle. With every witness gone, she was completely in the dark about the bloody coup. Leon's smile turned icy. Let's clear some things up first. Since when did this duchy permit slavery? And another thing. A lot has changed since the old man died. So why keep using my childhood title? Do you have an issue? Suddenly, the air turned freezing with chi. The guards and innkeeper froze in terror. Leon ignited a magic circle, his voice dropping to a growl. Do you refuse to recognize the new head of House Marba? The demon chuckled with dark pride. Impressive. My contractor, Marba, glared at the crowd, his voice dripping with pure malice. Age doesn't matter. Disrespect my partner, and you'll find out why I'm a demon. No mercy allowed. Leon's gaze remained icy as he commanded. He isn't the only one. If there are other slaves here, release them instantly. You have 10 minutes before I lose my patience. This is your only warning. The woman's face twisted in disgust as she sneered. My lord, do you really think you can handle the consequences? Her voice dripped with sarcasm. Oh, did I forget your noble title? You should probably remember it yourself. Unfazed by her venom, Leon muttered. I have been called much worse. Your words mean nothing. As he reached toward Walter, the boy trembled in confusion. My lord, why are you being so kind? I am just trash a slave. But a sharp snap of Leon's fingers silenced him. Suddenly a swarm closed in on Leon at the woman's signal. Kill him, the innkeeper shrieked. Kircher has our backs. They lunged forward. Leon didn't flinch, casting a spell, as dark necrotic energy leaked from his fingertips. In a heartbeat ghastly, death spirits materialized. They tore through the attackers with savage spectral fury. The innkeeper's jaw dropped in pure horror. Meanwhile, Leon inspected his own shattered, jagged blade, casually asking a nearby spirit, mind if I borrow yours? Mine is looking a bit worse for wear. The spirit obeyed instantly. Leon smirked with cold satisfaction. Thanks. I will return it once I am finished. Gripping the spectral steel, he stepped forward systematically, erasing every soul that stood in his path. Blood painted the room as the innkeeper shook violently. What kind of monster are you? How could a useless noble possess such terrifying power? Walter watched, paralyzed by the sheer dominance on display. Leon turned his calm gaze to the boy. You asked why I am kind. Do you see yourself as trash? His voice was heavy with sincerity. The truth is, you are far more than that. Right now, you are the key to my ultimate goal. Walter's mind raced in denial. What is he talking about? Why would a powerful clan leader need a broken boy like me? The confusion gnawed at his soul. Memories of a dark past surged back, flashbacks of a terrified child being cornered and beaten. It hurts. Stop, please, he had screamed, but the other children only laughed at his agony. They kicked and bruised him, spitting out venomous insults, calling him a filthy subhuman freak. It is your fault the crops failed. You are a curse, you revolting beast. Little Walter could only curl into a ball enduring the blows. He could not understand the malice. Why did they look at him with such hatred? Why did his suffering bring them so much joy? He was just a child, an innocent soul lost in a world of inexplicable cruelty. His eyes dimmed, ready to give up until a spark of primal rage ignited within his pupils. No more. A terrifying shockwave erupted from his body, blowing the bullies away like leaves in a storm. Why won't you just leave me alone? He roared. In that moment of chaos, the truth became clear. There was no reason. They tormented him simply because he was different. A freak in their eyes. The Beast Boy's cries echoed through the memory. Why? That difference was his only sin. When the dust settled, he stood alone among the fallen. That was the day his innocence died. He realized the terrifying truth he had been too blind to see. Panic gripped his tiny heart. Did I do this? He could not face the reflection of the monster he had become. He turned and ran, fleeing from the carnage and the nightmare of his own existence. He was a monster, exactly like they said. Back in the inn, the slaughter was finally over. The innkeeper, still delusional, shrieked, "You are dead, Lord Kircher will have your head for this. A pathetic noble like you cannot change anything." Leon looked at her with a chilling, empty expression. "You are right about one thing," he whispered. "But the useless noble who ignores injustice is gone. I will become a lord that House Marba can fear. a sphere of pure darkness condensed in his palm. He leveled the void at the woman. And people like you have no place in my world. Her scream was cut short as the darkness swallowed her whole. Silence reclaimed the blood-stained room. Leon turned, meeting Walter's wide, trembling eyes. The boy saw a man with blood on his hands, a cold-blooded killer standing among the dead. Endless questions flooded his mind. Why doesn't terror strike me in his presence? Leon stepped forward with a calm, sophisticated smile. Walter, is it? The Lord made his pitch. Will you serve me? Walter hesitated for a moment. Choosing total transparency, he asked, Lord, may I pose one question before pledging my life? Instantly, his disguise vanished, revealing his true form. I am a descendant of the Langma clan. Even among beastkin, his clan was the most loathed. A deep ache burned within his heart. In total agony, he asked if he would be treated like an outcast for his entire life. How much longer must my people live like wild animals? He stared at the young boy. Will the humiliation never end? Leon replied softly. No more. I promise you that. His voice offered a new path. I cannot fully grasp the depth of your suffering, but if your lives are crushed by prejudice, know this, that darkness ends right now. Before the boy's hopeful eyes, he declared, You shall be a loyal servant of House Marbas. With a resolute hand extended, Leon added, I give you my absolute word on this. Tears blurred Walter's vision as those words took root. Let the entire world know that you are a faithful servant of Marbas. I stake my honor on it. Tears finally fell. Their hands met, sealing the pact. Leon asked, Does your silence mean you accept? Walter beamed with joy. Yes, my lord, it is my honor. Meanwhile, at Emperor Arkim's palace, Emperor Esteban sat dazed on his throne. Behind him loomed the cunning Prince Louis. The crown prince, acting for the emperor, addressed the petitioner kneeling in the hall. Eldoris, why this sudden audience? Eldoris bowed, presenting a letter from Count Sylvester. Louis sneered in contempt. I deal with duchies. Why bother me with a petty count? He glanced at the emperor's frozen face. Father won't be happy about this interruption. Eldoris panicked. Forgive me, Highness. I only rushed here to deliver incredible news. That caught the prince's attention. Good news, speak then, if you value your life. Eldoris broke into a sweat, knowing the prince was currently the empire's most powerful man. One wrong word could be fatal. He hesitated, making sure his next sentence was perfect. Louis's eyes sharpened with interest. Indeed, you are talking about House Marbas. Yes, Highness, your longtime rivals, one of the 3 legendary powers of the Abyss. Seeing his opening, Eldoris whispered his plan. I suggest your Highness plays his cards carefully. Back House Sylvester to delete our common enemy. Louis's excitement was palpable. A tempting play, truly, but he still remembered the terrifying legends of House Marbas. Have you forgotten their death-summoning magic? Open war won't be a walk in the park. Eldoris smirked, playing his trump card. Your intuition is sharp as always, my prince. However, Marbas lacks a worthy heir now, while Sylvester's influence is skyrocketing. Louis grinned, completely sold on the scheme. Fine, let the games begin. It's time to purge those wretched grave robbers from our empire once and for all. Ecstatic Eldoris cried out. For the glory of the empire, I will personally lead us to victory. As he watched him leave, Louis's smile turned predatory. Father was far too lenient. Finally, I can pluck this thorn, a pathetic remnant of a dead era. He leaned toward the vacant emperor. Your legacy is mine to shape now. The puppeteer finally had his stage. He smiled, savoring the taste of absolute control. Soon everything will belong to me. Back at the estate, the inner circle met. Poulon placed a magic necklace on Walter. The world still despises beastkin Walter. He pointed to the pulsing red gem. Keep this on you at all times. It is vital. Leon and I trust you, but we cannot ignore the venom of public opinion. Suddenly, Walter's beastly ears twitched and vanished. He touched his smooth head, completely shocked. Poulon stood firm, his voice a sharp warning. From this moment, nothing we do shall obstruct our Lord's grand vision. Understood. Walter's voice trembled as he fumbled for a response. Why, yes, Lord Poulon. He smirked, satisfied with the boy's wit. Finally, Leon spoke, commanding the entire room's attention. If the chatter is over, I have vital matters to discuss. Listen closely. Once the crowd had settled, he continued coldly. First, understand this. Your oaths cannot be empty breath. Leon's gaze pierced through every soul who stood before him. Answer me. Will you pledge your eternal loyalty to me and me alone? Poulon didn't hesitate, shouting his devotion. Absolutely, my king. He gripped Leon's hand, eyes burning with fervor. I vow to serve House Marba until my final heartbeat. I beg you, let this humble servant prove his worth. Leon felt a bit cringed out by Poulon's over-the-top acting and remained silent. The Dark One watched the spectacle in disbelief, remarking softly, New master, you never cease to amaze me. He had crushed an old man's will, using nothing but cold, calculated words. Nearby, Marba grinned. Absolute dominion was, after all, the true essence of his noble house. Seeing this, Walter turned to Leon, his face tight with newfound resolve. I feel the same, my lord, he whispered, surrendering his pride to the young master. Yet Leon remained indifferent. That is your conviction, not mine, he replied with a chilling gaze. Walter blinked, completely lost. Master, who are you talking to? Leon didn't explain, only repeating his ultimatum. Before we move, we are forming a mana-bound covenant. Refuse and I will treat it as a betrayal. Walter froze. A mana-bound? What? It was a forbidden ritual, a magical pact, that weaves two souls into a single pattern. It anchors them together, in an unbreakable bond, locking their darkest secrets behind a seal that never fades. Leon stepped into the circle, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. If no one objects, then let it begin. Suddenly, a void of lethal energy erupted. Ghostly hands emerged. Unfurling a scroll dripping with forbidden dark magic, Marba felt the surge, and unleashed his true terrifying form. As House Marba's guardian, and the demon of your bloodline, I shall witness this oath. He loomed over the trembling men, chanting the ancient haunting words. You who swear fealty to my master, let your souls be chained to Marba's realm. Witness his glory. Death energy swirled into a terrifying orb, blasting rays of pure malice through the air. From the shadows, the mighty Marba proclaimed the arrival of the Lord of Death. He sat like a stone god, radiating a lethal pressure from his glowing crimson eyes. The servants stood, paralyzed jaws dropping at the sheer power before them. Leon sighed. Enough with the theatrics, Marba, he said, unfazed by the suffocating aura behind him. These are my people. They deserve respect. Marba huffed, pulling back his killing intent. Fine. Have they all accepted the brand? He pointed a claw, warning. Betrayal means soul-shattering death. Pullen, shaking like a leaf, hit the floor in a desperate bow of submission. I would have to be suicidal to betray him, he thought, his heart racing with pure terror. Was this really the legendary Marba from the founding myths? There was no other explanation for how Lord Leon could wield such horrific necromantic power. Walter, meanwhile, was having a total meltdown. The mana density was suffocating. His race was built to sense magic, but this power was blinding him. Just what kind of monster is my lord? And that black lion? Satisfied with their fear, Marba shrank back into his tiny form. But there was one problem. His cat form was so irresistibly cute that Walter's fear evaporated instantly. Wait, he's just a tiny kitty. Pullen's heart nearly stopped as he lunged to gag his friend. Walter's voice died into a muffled whimper, but the damage was already done. Marba's fur bristled as he glared at them with cold eyes. What did you say? Haha, he meant he's stunned by your, majestic and terrifying grandeur, Pullen lied desperately. Lord Marbus, I doubt Walter's ever seen anything this legendary. Pullen smirked, watching the demon lord soak up the praise. Marbus squinted with pure arrogance. Fair enough, but keep your mouth shut, no human can know I'm here. We're in the middle of a war, and intel is everything. Only those I deem worthy get to witness my true form. The nobles around here don't seem to give a damn about some guy named Kircher. Is that our target? Pullen flinched at the mention of the name. Lord Kircher. Meanwhile, Walter just stood there, completely lost for words. Kircher, Walter muttered, racking his brain. Wait, I remember the innkeeper getting a mysterious letter for him. She was supposed to hand it off to Kircher directly. At that, Marbus's eyes lit up with predatory excitement. He hopped onto Leon's shoulder, shouting, Bingo, that's our lead. Leon, as usual, stayed stone-faced and cold. Where is the intel? Leon demanded. Walter's response was so depressing it was almost painful to hear. Heaven help you guys. Suddenly, the Black Crow decided it was finally his time to shine. The crow flexed, revealing a hidden chest. Idiots. Did you really forget to loot the battlefield? Amateurs? Inside, the treasure was blinding pure gold and gems, shimmering with a glow that screamed extravagance. Marbus facepalmed. I forgot how money-hungry you are. You literally scorched that in just to pocket the loot. Apparently, the crow's logic was simple: finders, keepers, and the winner takes it all. While Marbus ranted, Leon stayed silent, his mind racing. He stepped toward the chest with lethal focus. He brushed his hand against the lid, scanning the contents until his gaze locked onto something hidden. Buried under the jewels was an open envelope. Leon snatched it up. Found it. This is exactly what we need. Look at you being useful for once, Marbus joked. The crow immediately caught an attitude at the backhanded compliment. Was that a diss? The crow snapped. Leon just shrugged calmly. Take it how you want. Let's see what it says, Leon muttered, reading the grim message. To the enemies of the House of Marbus. House Sylvester, by the Emperor's decree, officially declares war on your entire duchy. It is go time. You have got the firepower, but you have been ghosting your duties to Emperor Esteban. That is a major violation. Treason isn't taken lightly. Consider me your judge and executioner. You have got exactly 30 days left. Surrender now, and we will just absorb your house into ours. Play nice, and maybe you will survive the takeover. But if you want to catch hands, prove your innocence on the battlefield. The choice is yours. Signed, Count Alinda Sylvester. The room went dead silent as the weight of the declaration sank in. Leon fixated on the 1-month deadline. Marbus smirked. What is wrong? Is that too short for you? Leon's eyes did not even flicker. The timing is fine. Actually, I have got a much more entertaining plan in mind. With my new power over death spirits, I think it is time for some chaos. Both of them turned toward the crow. Hey, Featherbrain, I have got a special mission for you in the enemy territory. Do not mess it up. Over at House Sylvester, the tension was rising. My lord, the war declaration has been delivered to Marbus. Kircher looked like a total loser, my lord. He was literally begging for mercy. I almost killed him right then. Alan burst into a villainous laugh. What an absolute clown. He is even more pathetic than I thought. He is probably crying in a corner somewhere, but let us keep him around. Every empire needs a useful idiot. It is better if Marbus is run by a moron. Anyway, what is the status on that legitimate heir, the kid? You mean Leon von Marbus? Nothing to report, sir. He is just another unremarkable nobody. Kircher probably took care of him, Alan smirked. Perfect. But the retainer hesitated, looking a bit unsure. Is a 14-year-old really a threat? I mean, what is a brat like him going to do to us? Alan did not get mad. Instead, he asked a chilling question. Tell me, what is the worst kind of suffering? The man started sweating bullets. I do not know, sir. Alan leaned back, a dark look in his eyes. It is facing an absolute monster with zero hope of winning. Watching your world crumble while you are completely paralyzed, that is true despair. And do you know what creates that kind of nightmare? Alan did not wait for a reply. Pure, unadulterated genius. A talent so overwhelming it makes everyone else look like ants. The man looked confused. But what kind of talent could a kid like Leon possibly have? Alan's patience hit zero. He stared the man down with a cold, piercing gaze. Do not be a fool. Wellen von Marba's cursed bloodline demands total readiness. Alan's absolute command drew a thunderous salute. Marba's countermove. Two identical Leons facing off. One Leon mused spectacular. The other merely smirked. My memories make your mimicry terrifyingly perfect. The fake Leon mocked Marba with chilling arrogance. I'm no mere mage, Marba hissed in fury. Silence, Marba roared, launching a devastating strike. The crow Leon ignored the blow to his face. Magic instantly mended his shattered bloody features. Powerless rage boiled as Marba struck shadows. Walter watched the chaotic scene utterly paralyzed. Keep quiet if you value your life, Pullen warned. Silence brings survival. Shall we start, Leon? Leon set the blade down. 30 days remain. He solemnly placed the steel in Walter's grip. Prove your worth or vanish, Walter echoed solemnly. Leon confirmed failure meant immediate cold dismissal. I won't lead dead men. Your choice, Walter. Walter gripped the hilt, staring into Leon's soul. I'll crush every obstacle to stand beside you. Impressed by his fire, Leon granted a wish. A sacred pact formed before Pullen interrupted. I'll personally forge Walter into a true warrior. Marba's elite knights would be his brutal forge. Do it, Leon agreed, as Marba landed. Time to awaken your true dormant power. Leon followed Marba, seeking his own ascension. The training grounds erupted with the sounds of war. Walter bled and sweated alongside Marba's finest. Leon mastered the rhythmic flow of death spirits. Walter faced the ultimate test against the undead. One clean stroke decapitated the spirit of death. Exhausted, Walter knelt his victory hard-earned. He offered his soul to his new lord. Rise, Walter. My first knight has arrived. A month passed. The drums of war thundered. From the ramparts, they watched the enemy swarm. Alan's ultimatum echoed across the blood-soaked fields. Your pride will bury this city in ash. Leon watched the talkative fool like prey. Let the slaughter begin, Leon whispered coldly. Honorless cowards. Pullen spat, his blood boiling. They aren't brave. They're barking in terror. Could these monsters truly be trembling in fear? Come again, Marba began methodically detailing how Sylvester's overwhelming power outclassed them in every single category. A vulnerability remains, Pullen stammered, his mind racing. Haven't you realized their master plan already fell apart? You mean Kurchatov. If that man still breathed, House Marba would have been forced to surrender long ago. But would one death truly shatter their resolve? Marba just smirked, his calculated gaze fixed on the horizon. Humans are brittle things, he mused. One twist of fate triggers total chaos. So, why do they still resist? What keeps them standing? Once doubt poisons their hearts, their supposed might will crumble into absolutely nothing. Pullen followed the cold logic, the pieces finally clicking. Still, the weight of the coming war pressed heavily. True, but they still have the numbers. A dangerous glint sparked in the corner of Marba's eye. His lips curled into a predatory smirk, the look of a man who'd made a deal with a demon. Who says we can't crush them at half power? Fear not, Leon is a monster compared to your expectations. Leon stayed silent. He knew Marba was right. Seeing his lord's unshakable composure, Pullen finally felt a flicker of hope. Of course, my lord. Yet beneath that calm exterior, even Marba was reeling from Leon's terrifying hidden potential. It was beyond his wildest theories. Flashbacks of their brutal training ground sessions flooded his mind. Leon sat motionless amidst a maelstrom of swirling mana, while Marba and the crow watched from the shadows. Runes flared as obsidian energy erupted. Marba slammed his heel down, triggering a surge of dark power into the arena. Violent red death spirits materialized, shrieking as they lunged at Leon. But the young lord didn't even flinch. Eyes locked in deep meditation, he felt every murderous intent closing in on him. Violet mana exploded outward. In a heartbeat, a legion of purple death spirits rose to meet the charge. Spectral blades clashed. With a few precise strikes, Leon dominated the flow, crushing the enemy spirit's momentum. The purple phantoms tore through the red spirits, letting out blood-curdling roars of victory. Marba watched, utterly stunned. Sure, these were low-tier summons, but Leon had only started training a mere 7 days ago. Mastering mana flow while blindfolded, this wasn't just talent, it was an anomaly that defied every law of magic. "The kid's a freak of nature," the crow croaked. "He shines like that legendary star from the ancient prophecies." "The first ancestor's prediction," Marba whispered. "It's finally happening. He'll paint this continent red. Soon the entire world will bow to his whims." The crow tilted its head. Amidst the grand speech, the bird chirped a stupid question. "Does that include a lifetime supply of peanuts?" "As many as he wants," Marba snapped. "Think bigger, you brainless featherbrain. He could potentially crack open the ultimate taboo, the god-tier magic of temporal regression." Leon's eyes snapped open. He approached them with a calm stride. "Session complete. What's next on the list?" Beneath his feet, the decapitated skulls of the death spirits dissolved into the earth, hissing in agony. Even in defeat, the spirits' ghostly wails echoed. Leon cut through Marba and the crow's chatter. "Finished." "What's the next level?" Marba, caught off guard by the speed of progress, simply grunted in contemplation. "Keep practicing." Leading Leon back to the sanctum, Marba dropped the bombshell. "It's time for the forbidden arts." "Ready for dark magic?" Leon paused, the term echoing in his mind. He'd seen glimpses of it before. "My family taught me the basics," Leon noted. Marba's face twisted into a snarl of pure disgust. "You mean those pathetic parlor tricks," Marba growled. "Scrap that garbage. We're doing the real thing now." Leon nodded. It made sense. Ancestor Wellen hadn't conquered the entire East using just basic nursery rhymes and spirits. His lightning-fast conquest hinted at a far more sinister power hidden beneath the surface. The crow shimmered, morphing into Leon's twin. "Exactly," it chirped. A ball of void energy formed in its palm. "Necromancy is just the tip of the iceberg, kid. To command the dead, you need a bottomless mana pool and absolute mastery over the shadows." Poulon nodded. Typical loyalist rhetoric, Marba thought. He rolled his eyes with a heavy sigh. "Give me a break. I wasn't his servant. We were brothers in arms, standing on the same mountain peak as equals. Unlike that pathetic bird brain over there," Marba added. The crow's eyes narrowed in a mocking glare. "At least I never regretted my oath," the bird spat back. Marba's ego flared, preparing another sharp comeback. The crow spat back, mocking how Leon still masked himself with the face of a naive boy. "Teasing a kitten requires no courage," Leon muttered, silencing their petty squabble once his migraine finally subsided. "Enough. What magic must I master?" But before the bird could squawk, Marba cut him off. "A trial awaits first," Marba warned. "Prepare yourself, for you must descend into the depths of your own psyche." "My subconscious," Leon echoed. Marba nodded grimly. "Precisely. Though you are unaware of it now. Deep within lies a hidden wellspring. A colossal ocean of mana waits to be tapped and unleashed. Harness it, and these petty noble squabbles will look like child's play compared to your true power. Fair warning, dark arts extract a brutal price in mana." Leon hung on every word of the grim lecture. "I figured as much," Leon replied, though the entity loved twisting the narrative to his own whim. He countered, "That shouldn't be your concern. Believe it or not, Leon, the power I sense within you rivals no eclipses that of your legendary ancestors." Marba let the silence hang. He kept the darker omens to himself. Blessing or curse, Leon had to embrace this destiny, to reclaim his throne. If House Leon was to rise from the ashes, there was no turning back. Leon let out a heavy breath. A slight sense of relief washed over him, but seeing his guard drop, Marba struck with a cold reminder. "Don't get comfortable. This path is lethal. We can awaken your latent strength quickly. But survival isn't guaranteed." Without skipping a beat, Leon demanded. "Then tell me, what is this miracle method?" Marba scanned Leon's face, dissecting every micro-expression, until a sinister spark flickered in his empty sockets. In hindsight, it is obvious that one burning obsession consumed the young lord's entire being. Satisfied with what he saw, Marba gave the order. "First, drain your mana reserves until not a single drop remains. Empty yourself. Only then will your subconscious reveal the path." Leon didn't blink as he accepted. "Start the trial." Marba watched, recognizing that primal hunger for absolute unyielding dominance. Leon burned through his energy until he swayed, his vision blurring from the strain. That should do it. He suddenly collapsed, sending Pullen into a panicked frenzy. "My lord, you can't leave us behind like this." As the old man wailed in despair, Marba dove down, delivering a sharp peck to his skull. "Quiet, you fool. Don't interrupt him," Marba hissed. "Have some faith." Pullen just sobbed, tears flowing freely. "But master, Lord Leon is the head of our house, yet he's still just a child." The crow watched from the shadows, whispering, "Weren't you listening, old man? Our master Sanyi is a generational monster, a true genius." Marba usually hated agreeing with the bird, but this time the logic was sound. If his talent truly mirrors Welland's, he will claw his way back. Dry your eyes for the battles to come. Pullen sniffled, nodding weakly. I will try, master. Suddenly Walter burst through the door, looking like he had been dragged through a charcoal mine. He shouted triumphantly, Success! Behold the realm's newest novice swordsman. His joy vanished the moment he saw Leon's limp body. Wait, young master. What happened? You're just as dramatic as Pullen. Marba groaned as Walter joined the blubbering mess. Once the chaos subsided, Marba stepped in, advising the knight, Easy, Walter. I've already dealt with one hysterical fool today. Walter finally composed himself, whispering, Right. No matter what, I know he will make it back to us. Marba observed them with quiet disdain. Mortals were so predictable. How could a talent this immense stay hidden for decades? It was a miracle this bloodline had not vanished entirely. A heavy silence fell over the room. They waited in agony for Leon to stir, but his soul was already drifting elsewhere. His subconscious cracked open, pulling him into a void of absolute crushing darkness. It was not the scenery that was terrifying, it was the nothingness. Ignoring the threat of the unknown, Leon remained calm, his eyes searching the shadows for answers. He marched forward into the gloom. Suddenly he froze as the void peeled back to reveal a chilling sight. A desolate, crumbling city stretched before him. In the center stood a solitary figure cloaked in midnight. Welcome, Leon. I have been expecting you, the stranger echoed. Leon flinched, his blood turning to ice. His composure shattered as the mysterious figure slowly turned around. The face staring back was his own. Standing there, a middle-aged figure watched Leon. After a heavy silence, the man finally spoke. Let us walk. We have much to cover. Leon, paralyzed by shock, could only stare before finally stuttering out a word. Father, the eerie, barren wasteland around them was terrifying, but the two ignored the chilling atmosphere. Ascending toward the urban ruins, they trekked deep into the city, until their family's crest flickered ahead. Stopping at last, he whispered, Leon, being here means you have decided to unleash your dormant mana. Bowing respectfully, Leon replied, Yes, father, though my current power level remains a total mystery. I have already assembled a squad of ride-or-die allies to stand with me. Ron beamed with pride at his son's confidence. What a lucky break. But as you have likely realized, I am just a mental echo. Alan killed me. This form is merely a lingering magical trace. Leon nodded, having already suspected the truth. I get it, he stated calmly. Ron sighed. I failed because I reached my limit. My potential just was not enough. Brutal, is it not? Regardless, I still have one final gift to offer you. I could not tame our family relic, the Death Spirit. But you are built different, Leon. I perfected a ritual to pass the accumulated mana of our ancestors directly into your core. At first, you will only handle a fraction of it, but that massive boost will cement your authority as the true family head. Leon soaked it in before questioning, Wait, father, I remember your warning. You said taking someone else's mana is lethal. The danger is insane. Foreign magic could fry my brain. Ron nodded, remembering the tragedies of the past. Impressed by his son's wisdom, he praised him. True. Every soul leaves a unique mark on mana. Assimilation is usually impossible. Ron grabbed Leon's arm firmly. However, for you are the glitch in the system. You are a perfect blank canvas, Leon. A blank canvas, Leon whispered, confused. Suddenly, Ron let go of his grip. Swirling purple mana intensified. Ron's voice dropped low. Since Wellen von Marba's era, no air has held dark mana this pure. He began compressing the energy. A violet sphere formed in Ron's palm, radiating a blinding, terrifying pressure. Like a sacred mantra, Ron chanted, You have inherited our bloodline's ultimate blessing. Void black energy erupted from the sphere. It vibrated so hard that the surrounding ruins began to crumble. Debris levitated in the air as Ron manipulated the chaotic, surreal forces. Controlling the orb with ease, he whispered, This power, this is the real you. Never forget its weight. The orb ascended, drenching the world in a sinister light. As the storm died down, Ron's face softened. He gazed at Leon with pure fatherly love. Smiling gently, Ron patted his son's head beneath the haunting glow of the violet sun. In that tender silence, they both knew. Our time is up, my boy. Heart-heavy, Leon reached out. Father, wait, he pleaded longingly. Will I see you again? Ron smiled firmly. I still have plenty of lessons for you. He presented the pulsating orb to Leon. Immediately, the boy felt its overwhelming aura. This mana, it is insane, Leon gasped as the tidal wave of power crashed into him. A mysterious mark burned onto his chest. That is the greed sigil, Ron explained. It possesses a bottomless hunger. It will consume everything. Remember that, my son. Leon touched the new crucifix around his neck, feeling its dark, seductive pull. I will not forget, father. Suddenly, the dimension began to crumble. Ron rushed his final goodbye. We will meet when your need is greatest. As the world faded, Leon gave one last bow. I will be waiting. Leon vanished into the darkness. Alone, Ron whispered his final hope. If luck stays on your side, you will become the brightest star this continent has ever seen. The future remains hidden in shadows, leaving us to wonder if this power brings eternal glory, or if it leads to total ruin. In my darkest moments I fear that is the only end. Back in reality, the four of them stood frozen eyes glued to their unconscious lord. If intense glares could actually pierce someone, Leon would be a total civ right now. An eerie silence filled the room until Pullen finally cracked. Master, are you sure he'll wake up? He was spiraling. I don't doubt your wisdom, Master Marba, but Leon is only 14 years old. What if he's permanently scarred? I wouldn't know how to face our ancestors in the afterlife. Annoyed, Marba shot back coldly. Keep talking like that and you'll meet them sooner than planned. If the kid can't survive a small hurdle like this, then your petty worries don't even matter. Just have some faith. Meanwhile, Walter showed a spine made of pure, unwavering steel. With a confident smirk, he reassured Pullen. Relax, old man. He's going to crush this. There's no need to stress. Even the Black Crow chimed in, mocking the old servant's anxiety. Suddenly, a massive aura exploded from Leon. Marba gasped as the truth finally hit him. So that's why he's lagging. Walter blinked in shock. What kind of insane power is this? It's too dense and massive. Marba hopped onto Leon's chest to sense the raw divine authority. The king returns, Marba declared. But brace yourselves. The Lord who awakens now is no longer the boy you once knew. Right then, Leon's eyes bolted open with terrifying clarity. As everyone stood in shock, Leon just stared down and let out a long, exhausted sigh. No wonder I can't breathe. Get off me. Marba just huffed, clearly annoyed by the request. Life resumed as normal, but the intensity spiked. Walter pushed training to the limit, while Leon led. Mastering spells and drilling his army, the clock ticked down 4 days until the ultimate war. Elsewhere, the Sylvester war machine was primed and ready. Alan waited for the final signal. Refusing to leave his throne, he barked at his legion. The hour of reckoning is here. Today, we erase House Marba. Centuries of their legacy will be ground into the dirt. We're burning the past to write our own legend, for the glory of House Sylvester. Shadowed in the corner, Kircher's eyes flared with an eerie glow. The storm was finally here. Under a blood-red moon, Sylvester's silent army advanced. He grinned, stroking his beard in triumph. Their formation is trash right here. Your intel on their weak spot was absolute perfection. Nice work, Kircher. The advisor just chuckled softly. Anything for you, my lord. Just a small token of my loyalty. Sylvester nodded, though a seed of doubt remained. I thought those Marba idiots would guard their tombs better. They literally left the back door open, deploying their main force in the open like that. Kircher smoothly cut in before he finished. They're just mages, not masterminds. They're probably too scared of scuffing their precious graves. Sylvester laughed. Their name is ancient history, but they're still clinging to that dead glory, huh? Kircher paused, a strange glint in his eye. Precisely. It really is a tragedy for them. Sylvester's eyes narrowed. What's with that tone? You got something you want to say? Not at all, my lord. Please, let's keep moving. Our victory is almost here. Suddenly, Sylvester pulled his reins. A wall of black-clad warriors stood directly in their path. Leon and Walter stepped forward, blocking the way. Leon flashed a bright, mocking smile. Right on schedule. Glad you could make it, Leon chirped. Sylvester's face twisted in rage. The weak point. You've got hundreds of elite troops waiting. How is this possible? He ripped his sword out, swinging it violently at Kircher's throat. What kind of game is this? The blade sheared through Kircher's neck. His head tumbled, trailing a haunting purple mist. Yet the severed head spoke calmly. Only my true master is allowed to aim steel at me. Purple mist surged, snapping the head back onto its shoulders instantly. Kircher just smirked. A total first for him. Sylvester watched, drenched in cold sweat. Impossible. That blade should have ended your life right there. Kircher ignored the chaos, spurring his mount straight for Leon. Sylvester let out a frustrated snarl. Fine. You'll regret that arrogance, young Lord Marba. Did you honestly think you could face me and win? With just a few hundred soldiers, you're disrespecting the head of House Sylvester. Leon's response was ice-cold and calm. Not even close. Only a real threat is worth being called an insult. Sylvester's jaw tightened in pure rage. Triggered by Leon's chill vibe, the boy slowly raised his palm. Why do you think I showed up today? Dark energy began oozing from his fingers. Leon smirked. To put you in the dirt where you belong, obviously. The shadows congealed into a thick sludge beneath the horse. Suddenly, a legion of undead shrieked as they crawled out. Sylvester gasped, his voice trembling. Necromancy, Leon gave a chilling nod. You catch on fast, Count Sylvester. Shocked that a house of lion mages rules the dead, Sylvester went dead silent, his mind racing with dread. What's the worst cruelty imaginable? It's staring down a monster so powerful that hope completely vanishes. Just standing there watching your world burn while being totally powerless. That pain is unmatched. But what creates such despair? Pure, raw talent. A terrifying gift that forces every other soul on the battlefield to bow in fear. That's the ultimate decider of victory. Suddenly, Leon's undead army lunged forward, ready to tear through the ranks. A high-ranking commander tried to intercept them, but the rotting soldiers just kept coming in endless, suffocating waves. The commander gritted his teeth, remembering his foe was just a kid, regardless of his freakish power. No brat could be ready for the gory reality of a deathmatch. With a roar, he charged back into the fray. He was hell-bent on cutting a path straight to Leon's throat, but Walter suddenly intercepted him mid-stride. The fuming commander screamed, "Who's suicidal enough to block me?" Walter leveled his blade with icy precision. "Apologies, but you're not laying a finger on the young master. I have a job to do and a promise to keep." With a calm smile, Walter stood firm as the undead horde continued their relentless, bloody slaughter. Sylvester flipped out, screaming for his mages to strike. A circle of casters formed, chanting destructive incantations. They blasted the rotting mob with their heaviest magic, obliterating a huge chunk of the undead legion instantly. Sylvester hoisted his blade, signaling his elite cavalry to charge. Yet Leon's expression remained absolutely frozen. Sylvester pushed forward with a cocky smirk, locking eyes with Leon while spitting out threats. "Honestly, I'm a bit of a coward. Even though you're the big brother, you were always meant to lead. Or maybe my sister. I never saw any of you as real family anyway." Before he could finish, Leon shut him down. "Do I look like I care about your pathetic family drama?" Leon's hand fell as the dark energy thickened. Sylvester hissed, "Maybe not. But that's why a pampered brat like you will never stand a chance against me. Tell me, kid, is this about revenge? If it is, you'll die like a dog drowning in regret." Done with the yapping, Leon hoisted the Book of Death. "You've got it all wrong," he declared coldly. "Let's get one thing straight. I'm not here for revenge, and you simply aren't strong enough to kill me. Period." The grimoire snapped open as Leon channeled dark mana. Flashback to a few days ago when Leon gathered his allies. After laying out the strategy, Leon went quiet. Marba sat there casually grooming himself before finally speaking up. "I've witnessed some garbage plans over the last few thousand years, but yours, this is straight up reckless. Picking this battlefield was the right call though." Leon cut in, insisting there was no better alternative. "Why play it safe when the winning move is staring us in the face?" The Black Crow gave a sharp nod. "I trust my master's vision completely." Then, with a mocking glint, he turned to Marba. "Well, why should a mangy cub tell us what to do?" Walter cleared his throat, awkwardly agreeing to the plan. "It's not that I doubt your brilliance, Lord Marba. Definitely not." Marba just flopped over, pouting hard. "So you're just gonna ghost my advice? Fine, whatever." Pullen stepped up, adding his thoughts on the troop deployment. "We're bringing every sword we have. On my honor, I won't let you walk into this trap solo." Leon stood up, a satisfied look in his eyes. "Perfect. If we're all set, we move out now." As the group dispersed, Leon raised his voice. "Oh, Lord Marba, before we wrap this up, there's something I need to ask." Marba gave him a side eye. "What now?" Leon held up the talisman. "Do you realize the price of this charm?" Marbas ignored him. "How should I know?" the crow mocked. "What an arrogant brat," he hissed. "Your father lied. That talisman is pure venom in your veins." Leon warned him, "It's a death sentence for someone at your current level." Marba sighed. "I gave it to you for a reason, but you're jumping the gun. You're strong, sure. Your covenant and innate power are cracked compared to regular mortals. But you're still mid-tier. Your squad seems loyal, but humans are always snaky. You're just a mortal. You have zero clue how dark human hearts really get. They'll backstab you in a heartbeat just like they did your father. Why bet it all on them?" Leon ignored the noise and stepped back onto the blood-soaked battlefield. The grimoire of death flipped open as Leon channeled raw darkness, his eyes igniting. Sylvester sneered at the silence. "You really think you're safe?" Leon didn't blink. As Leon's pupils flared, Sylvester's gut twisted. The sheer volume of dark energy was insane. His eyes widened as an incalculable flood of mana surged forth. He was perfectly weaving pure shadows, manipulating every drop of mana with god-tier precision. How was such mastery possible? Leon's cold voice began the ancient chant. "Servants of Marbas, rise from hell." Sylvester's survival instinct screamed he had to stop this now. Whatever this was, it had to end. He barked out a desperate command. "I, the true heir of Marbas, command you awaken and serve your master," Leon roared. The ground shattered as legions of demonic undead crawled from the soil, ready for slaughter. Sylvester's jaw dropped. An endless ocean of skeletal soldiers now stood between him and victory. From the high cliffs, Marbas watched the carnage unfold, staring deep into the abyssal chaos. What a stubborn kid. The talisman flared, and the undead army surged with primal fury. The demonic horde collided with the human line, absolutely shredding their defenses in seconds. Revenant mages rained destruction from the backline. Sylvester realized he was totally cooked. "It's a trap. He's leading a literal army of the damned," he shrieked in terror. As Sylvester hesitated, Leon's body began to fail, his face twisting in agony. Leon coughed up blood, and Sylvester saw his chance. Die now, or lose everything. "Kill yourself if you want. I'll spare your men, but end this pathetic act." Leon completely ignored the desperate ranting. "I hate to disappoint you, Master. Remember Marba's question. Why do these mere mortals deserve you betting your entire life on them? Until your power fully blooms, don't throw yourself away for nothing. You're still far too weak to carry the weight of other people's destinies, much less their lives." Leon paused for a second, then asked Lord Marba, "Why wait for the fruit to fully ripen before we harvest? Is it truly wrong to pick it early?" and let it mature later. Soon, the only soul left on that blood-stained field was Sylvester. Leon approached the broken man kneeling in the dirt. Sylvester looked up, meeting a gaze as cold as ice. As the rain began to pour, Sylvester stayed pinned to the ground. Terrified to even look up, he whispered, "Is vengeance really not your goal?" Leon nodded coldly. Shaking, Sylvester clutched at the boy's cloak, pleading, "Will you show me mercy despite my sins? I vow never to cross House Marba again, or whisper a single word of your true strength to the Empire. Please, I beg of you." Leon stayed silent, his expression unreadable. Finally, he spoke. "Since when were we close enough to owe each other such massive favors?" Sylvester's head snapped up as he cried, "But you know the truth. Revenge just fuels a never-ending cycle of hate." Leon's icy stare shut him up instantly. Sylvester froze in terror. Tossing his cloak aside, he desperately claimed he was coerced. "As a fellow high noble, you surely understand our duty to ensure our family's prosperity." Leon stroked his chin. "Duty is it? Maybe your point isn't entirely wrong. Leading a great house is a crushing weight." Sensing a spark of sympathy, Sylvester scrambled to agree. "Exactly, it's suffocating me. I only committed those atrocities out of pure necessity. It was all for my clan." Leon cut him off sharply. "And why exactly does that mean I should spare you?" Sylvester's mind went blank. Leon slowly unsheathed his blade. "Don't get it twisted, this isn't personal. Your death is simply a cold, undeniable necessity. You being alive provides zero benefit to the Marba name. Goodbye." Sylvester gnashed his teeth in fury, head thrown back as he shrieked, "You arrogant brat, by the time you realize your mistake, it'll be too late." Mid-sentence, Leon's blade flashed, severing his head, as blood painted the sky. Leon didn't even flinch. Sylvester's corpse fell, finally ending the bloody conflict. The spectral army faded away. Suddenly, a sharp pain tore through Leon's chest. Slumping over, he whispered, "I knew the cost of this power would be steep." He collapsed face first. Walter screamed, "My lord." Marba lunged forward to check him. "Relax, he's just suffering from a massive mana drain." Leon's genius is terrifying, echoing the legends of old. But the real question remains, can a mere child be trusted with such overwhelming potential? There's a monster inside him, a deadly contract that I can't even restrain, stripping away every ounce of his humanity. Turning toward Sylvester's remains, he added gravely, "More importantly, the demons are starting to meddle in our world. This is a dark sign." Pullen and the crow hurried over. Eventually, Leon's eyes fluttered open. His loyal followers cheered in relief. "He's finally awake." Pullen fell to his knees, sobbing, "Forgive me, master, I failed you. I deserve the executioner's block." Marba chuckled. "Hey, I won't stop you, old-timer. That would actually be a pretty fun show to watch." The black crow chimed in. "He might look cute, but this little brat is absolutely heartless." Marba barked back, "You expect a demon to have feelings, and quit that annoying sniffling already." Sitting up, Leon sighed. "No executions today. You did your job perfectly, and that's all that matters." Walter rushed to report. "House Sylvester is crumbling into ruins now that their lord is gone. They won't be planning any more invasions anytime soon." Pullen pumped his fists, beaming with excitement. "Exactly. Under your brilliant command, House Marba has finally clawed its way back. But one problem remains." Leon looked up, surprised. "What's wrong?" Pullen bowed deeply, his voice shaking. "It's embarrassing to admit, my lord, but the Marba coffers are bone dry. Worse yet, we're drowning in massive debt." Leon's jaw dropped. "What?" Marba just shrugged. "Not a huge deal. Just slap House Sylvester with a massive war bill and call it even." Dark clouds hung over Pullen. His usual tactics were useless now that the Imperial Court dropped an ironclad ban on every compensation claim. "What is the deal? Why now?" Marba snapped. Pullen winced, his voice trembling as he brought up Leon Haber and Satyr. These three legendary bloodlines had been trapped under the Imperial Court's thumb for generations, leaving them with zero breathing room. "The Crown clearly wants us crushed to stop our ascension." Every request was nuked. Marba let out a heavy, defeated sigh. Everything was spiraling into pure chaos. Leon gripped his chair, his voice tight. "Give it to me straight. What is the final damage?" Pullen stayed silent, simply raising 5 fingers. Leon flashed a shaky, nervous grin. 50 million gold, please tell me that is it." Pullen's head shook slowly, his lips sealed. Leon's heart dropped into his stomach. 500 million, Pullen, you are joking, right? Another silent no. Leon nervously rubbed his chin, his mind racing. It could not possibly be. 5 billion gold, that is insane. 500,000 is doable, but... Pullen cut him off mid-sentence. "Forgive my bluntness, my lord, but reality is much harsher." "You actually nailed it." Leon froze, his eyes widening in total shock. "Wait, I nailed what? Which number?" Pullen dropped the bomb. "House Marba owes 5 billion gold." Leon felt his soul leave his body. He was officially broke. Meanwhile, a strikingly handsome youth strolled through the city gates, whispering to himself, "So this is finally the Marba territory. Meet Richard de Flamel, the legendary High Templar of the Mage Tower, and the mastermind behind the elite Eremita sect." A girl suddenly blocked his path with a playful smirk. "Fancy seeing you here, Master Richard." It was the infamous Carleen. She commanded the Southern Lunatic Syndicate, the most feared loan sharks alive. Flamel visibly panicked, completely losing his cool. Miss Carleen, my sect, cleared our balance ages ago. Carleen just giggled, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Is that what you think? You think I would travel this far for pocket change? Relax, Richard. This time, you are not even the target. Flamel shuddered, unable to relax. Pardon me, but the trauma of being played by vultures like you never really fades away. Facing lenders always gives me the creeps. Back then, I genuinely believed the Mage Tower was about to go extinct. Carleen gave him a cheeky wink. And that is exactly why we always tell people to read the fine print twice. Flamel was not having it and turned to walk away. Enough small talk. Let us just cut straight to the chase. We are both hunting the same guy, right? Meanwhile, back inside, Pullen was finalizing the grim details of the family's debt. My lord, the debt has peaked at 5 billion gold. Cold sweat poured down their faces as a suffocating silence filled the room. A sharp knock echoed through the hall, making everyone jump. Pullen marched toward the door, throwing a wary look back. I will handle this, he muttered. Leon watched with bated breath. Noticing his pale face, Marba leaned in with concern. Leon, you okay? Leon swallowed hard. I am praying this is not more bad news. Suddenly, Pullen burst back in, looking panicked. We have guests, sir. Leon's guard went up instantly. How many? Pullen hesitated. Just two, a man and a woman. Leon's grip tightened as he placed his cup down. Unexpectedly, Richard grabbed a cup, took a calm sip, and spoke. Thanks for the hospitality. I am Richard, the Aramita School's leader. Carleen, lounging right next to him, did not miss a beat. And I am Carleen from the Southern Lunatics. The moment those words hit the air, the entire room turned ice cold. It took ages for Leon to find his voice. Welcome to the Marba estate. Richard and Carleen flashed perfectly synchronized, terrifying smiles. Walter's nerves were fried. Their energy is insane. Are we seriously letting these monsters inside our house right now? Who cares? Marba shrugged. The Black Crow let out a mocking squawk. My master is a beast, do not sweat it. He has got this. Sensing the thick atmosphere, Carleen broke the ice. Word on the street says you just scored a massive win. Congrats on crushing that noble family feud, Lord Marba. I am guessing you are sitting on a mountain of war loot now. That should cover what you owe. The lunatics, yeah, Leon, wiped a bead of sweat from his brow. Actually, about that debt. What is the exact damage? Pullen leaned in, whispering urgently. My lord, remember that our credit rating is basically in the gutter. Our name is trash in the financial world. But out of the 5 billion gold we have sucked up, 4 billion belongs strictly to Carleen and her lunatic crew. As the queen of the southern branch, she runs the continent's deadliest syndicate. She is the one debt collector you never ever want knocking on your door. Leon's voice cracked. People who do not pay her end up as lab rats for dark mages to experiment on. Carleen cackled at his terror. So you have done your homework on us. Lucky you, Lord Marba. It saves me the introduction. Let us skip to the juicy part. Leon nodded frantically. Right. So, what exactly is the total bill as of today? Carleen's gaze sharpened. She whipped a scroll out from her bodice and looked him dead in the eye. I am going to need you to cough up 10% of that balance right now. You are free to settle the remaining 90% whenever you please. However, let me offer some friendly advice. Our interest rate stands at a brutal 30% annually. I trust you will clear your tab quickly, she hissed, eyeing Leon like a trapped rabbit. Leon began to panic, cold sweat trickling down his face. 400 million gold due instantly, backed by a crushing 30% yearly interest. Even after dropping 400 million, the debt would still explode by over 1 billion gold within a single year. He cried out, in total desperation. Who in their right mind would agree to such insanity? Poulon stood in the shadows, his voice heavy, as he revealed his father had signed it. The thought of his father's mistake pierced Leon's heart. Father, how did everything become such a nightmare so fast? Rachel stepped in, attempting to ease the suffocating tension. Calm down for a moment. Surely Lord Marba deserves a celebration, not an interrogation. Besides, it is highly unlikely he has such a massive fortune sitting around right now. Carleen shut him down with a sharp glare. Excuse me, Rachel, but can you not see that grown-ups are talking business? I despise being interrupted. Keep in mind that a single slip of the tongue could turn you into a lifeless husk in seconds. Rachel stood up, his face pale as he prepared to retreat. I hear you loud and clear, Miss Carleen. I will return once this mess is sorted. Carleen smirked as he left, mourning the loss of a perfectly good pot of tea. Leon froze his throat tight with fear as he struggled to find his voice. Miss Carleen the first, but his plea was cut short. Carleen snapped. If you are going to beg for more time to dig up spare change, save your breath. I already know the truth from that old woman. Leon turned to Marba and whispered in a panic. Why are we not taking her down right now? Marba hissed back, telling him not to be a fool because she was out of his league. If you want to be shredded to pieces in a heartbeat, then go ahead and try. Leon went silent, paralyzed by the Black Crow's grim outlook. At this pace, we will lose every single thing we own. The Chosen One is truly a massive disappointment, Poulon murmured dejectedly. The previous patriarch was only trying to ensure the family's survival, even if his hands were shaking. Suddenly, Walter bellowed out, "Stay strong, young master. You will find a way, I swear by your incredible brilliance." Leon lowered his gaze, lost in thought for a long moment before looking up. "Miss Carleen, if I may speak." Carleen raised an eyebrow. Well, Leon's expression turned dead serious as he begged her to show them all some mercy. Those words stunned Carleen, leaving Poulon Marba and the crow completely speechless. Walter stood frozen, unable to process the plea. Meanwhile, outside the hall, Rachel stared at the family portrait and pondered. Leon von Marbase was certainly worth the journey. He recalled their first encounter. Leon had been radiating a terrifyingly thick dark mana. Rachel's suspicions were confirmed. He sensed a massive ocean of mana churning deep within the boy. Recruiting him to the Aramita Majas would be a game-changer for the academy. I must find a way to get on his good side. As he plotted, a brilliant light flickered in Rachel's palm. An orb of light absorbed his mana as it shrank. Rachel peered into the device, seeing a frantic old man on the other side. "Director, please. You cannot just vanish like this. The entire academy is falling apart without your leadership." Rachel brushed him off coolly. "Relax, I will give you a full report later. But first I need one vital piece of information." The old man asked what it was, and the director forced a strained smile. "How much gold is currently sitting in the Aramita Academy vaults?" The old man immediately clutched his head in agony. Back in the room, Carleen tilted her head, a playful yet dangerous smile on her lips. "Lord Leon, honestly, I do not see why you are so terrified. Do you think our lunatics organization is just some group of mindless thugs?" She paused, gathering deadly mana at her fingertips before casually shattering Leon's teacup with a single flick. Once the warning was delivered, she spoke with ice in her veins. "I promise you, our reach is far greater than you imagine." As the tea spilled everywhere, Walter lost his temper, drawing his blade and screaming. "How dare you threaten the young master?" Carleen ignored him calmly, stating that her wrath was reserved only for those who did not pay. "Is that understood?" Leon let out a heavy sigh, admitting they had absolutely nothing left to give. Carleen blinked in confusion. "What did you just say?" Leon looked her in the eye and confirmed the treasury was bone dry. Carleen went silent for a few heartbeats. Then she let out a dark, mocking laugh, realizing why he was shaking like a frightened pup. "Fine, let me show you exactly what happens to those who fail to pay their debts." As her aura flared, Leon was drenched in cold sweat. Suddenly, Rachel kicked the door open and screamed for everyone to wait. All eyes snapped to the doorway, but Rachel suddenly looked awkward, struggling to find the right words. Carleen growled, losing her patience. "Ah, I see why you have been so jumpy. It turns out our prestigious guest is totally broke." Her eyes locked onto him like a starving predator, yet Leon stood frozen. Richard finally found his voice and bellowed. "Utterly pathetic, don't you dare extinguish the flickering light of Iramona Academy." He lunged forward, desperate to block Carleen. Leon stayed stone-cold silent, but Richard sensed a hidden power. He scrambled over, showering the boy with oily praise. Just as expected, young Master Leon was 10 steps ahead. Meanwhile, Leon hadn't a single clue what was happening. "Iramona Academy, huh?" Carleen kept her lethal gaze fixed on Leon, but Rachel stepped in with a sharp, calculated smile. With a heavy sigh, Carleen suppressed her bloodlust. Leon remained lost in dark thoughts before finally issuing a cold command. "Everyone back off for a second. Let's get our facts straight." Once they stepped outside, Leon finally broke the tension. "So if Iramona signs me, you cover 10% of my tab with Carleen. Is that the deal on the table?" "Precisely." Rachel's smile widened as she nodded. "Think back to that brutal turf war against the Sylvester clan. It's obvious you dabbled in necromancy back then." Leon played dumb, asking why she'd suspect such a thing. Rachel didn't blink. "Simple, that's a fight you were destined to lose without dark arts. Carleen knew it too, which is exactly why she hunted you down." "Am I wrong?" Carleen smirked, mocking how mages are always so slippery. "Honestly, I had my doubts from the jump. The patriarch of the Marba line has reclaimed his prime power, and that's precisely why he's standing here today." Leon snapped, fearing she was coming for her gold. Carleen fired back with a fierce intensity. "Let's get real. The thought crossed my mind, but that mountain of debt isn't disappearing overnight. I'm willing to bench it for now." Listening in, Marba instantly realized the debt was astronomical. As the two went back and forth, he weighed the situation. Leon saw through their masks. Richard was headhunting for talent, while Lady Carleen was playing the long game with her money. "But why is she so sure? My necromancy might still be dead. I could easily find another way out of this mess." Hiring blades, Carleen cut in, reminding him that professional help costs a king's ransom. Richard just let out a booming laugh. "Gold doesn't win wars, power does. That's why I've been betting on the legendary bloodline of the Marba house from day one. The forbidden art of soul binding has finally reawakened." Carleen leaned in, noting that if that legendary gift is even a fraction of Lord Welland's peak, then befriending the world's greatest prodigy is a total win for us. Leon stayed focused. A debt is still a debt, right? Carleen's expression soured, her eyes darkening with immediate irritation. She reached into her coat, speaking with icy precision. You think I'm running a charity? The metallic click of her pistol echoed. Leveling the barrel at Leon's head, she dared him to test her. Richard's heart skipped a beat as he jumped in. Wait, give us a moment to talk man to man, Richard pleaded. Carlene lowered her weapon, letting out a frustrated huff of agreement. Fine. If he's really the diamond in the rough Iramona wants so badly, I'll back off. In the end, getting paid is all I care about. She holstered her piece and marched out, leaving Rachel to finally catch her breath. That woman is a nightmare. She almost blew the whole deal. Leon didn't relax, eyeing them with pure suspicion. You're just as shady. You aren't exactly human, are you, Richard? Just grinned back, pointing a finger at Leon. Look who's talking, kid. You've got one of the 72 demon gods as a sidekick, don't you? Marba snarled, offended that a mere mage dared gaze upon him. Your essence is shifting back to its true demonic origin. So, what are you exactly? Suddenly, Richard's entire form began to warp. His human mask shattered, revealing a monstrous truth. Marba gasped in shock. A dragon, I thought your kind, vanished ages ago. Wiped out after the Great Magic War. Leon's mind raced as the realization hit him. A real-life dragon. No doubt about it, Marba muttered, pointing to the massive horns and that unmistakable primordial tail. Rachel leaned in, her curiosity piqued. Why would a legendary demon god choose to follow a lowly human around? I'm in the dark too, but it probably links back to my ancestor. Leon quickly stepped in to clear the air. Relax, Lord Marba is an ally to humans. He's nothing like those mindless monsters. Marba gave a solemn nod of agreement. I bear the name of a demon, but not their malice. Richard smiled knowingly. Why else would he bother with human drama? To meddle in mortal affairs. Leon noted the sincerity on both sides and pivoted. Fine, let's talk business. How do I actually get into Iramona? Rachel clarified that they operate in the shadows, focusing on high-stakes joint operations. You'll climb the ranks of the magical elite. Leon scoffed, unimpressed. That's the whole pitch, Marba growled in disbelief. Stop lying and give us the truth, Richard chuckled, admitting they were sharp. Even if I kept it secret. Here's the catch, you're ours. No other academies, no outside contracts. You belong exclusively to Iramona. So you're just monopolizing talent to crush the competition. Richard gave a chillingly calm nod. Naturally, that is just one reason, but the true motive lies deeper. Slamming a cursed demonic crest onto the table, his gaze turned ice cold. Of the legendary academies beyond Iramena, at least one has been tainted by the abyss. Marba let out a heavy, weary sigh at the news. The shadows are finally moving. Damn it. If only I had awakened sooner. He then demanded to know their ultimate endgame. Richel fell into a dark silence before dropping a bombshell. They intend to resurrect Baal, the fallen god from the Great Demon War. That first ancient conflict was a bloodbath where King Solomon finally found his eternal rest after a devastating sacrifice. With his dying breath, he forged unbreakable chains of light to imprison the surviving demons within the dark mana void. These secrets were ripped from the Marba family's forbidden tome, sealed by the ancestor who first quelled the Great Storm. The carnage finally ended when King Solomon unleashed his ultimate sealing hex to terminate the demon-slaying era. But those ancient seals are fraying with time. Now a demonic awakening could erupt at any moment. Leon cut in his mind, racing. I have heard rumors that the Emperor has lost his sanity. Once a sage king, he is now mocked as the foolish monarch. Is there a connection? Richel nodded gravely. Precisely. Demons sniff out the smallest weakness, and you already have one in your shadow. You should understand that better than anyone. Scowling, Marba threw another piece of the puzzle onto the table. I also heard that entire dragon tribes were decimated in that slaughter. This explanation actually rings true, unlike a typical lie. Leon ignored the fluff and went straight for the throat. So you are blocking my transfer because you found a demonic brand at a rival school. Correct, Richel confirmed. Stay at Iramona Academy. We are the only ones who can pull back the curtain on the truth for you. Marba immediately smelled profit and jumped in to negotiate. While it will cost a fortune, Richel could only offer a pained, awkward smirk. Haha, my hands are tied there, Leon sighed. How do I make bank? Owing 5 billion gold is a mountain I cannot climb. Richel stroked his chin, lost in thought. Suddenly, a wicked spark lit up his eyes. Wait, I have a brilliant plan. The Adventurers Guild. Carlin has a direct line to the Guildmaster. If you can climb the ranks and secure a gold badge, you can unlock elite bounties worth 10 million gold. A pop, Leon's jaw hit the floor. 10 million. Burying his pride, Leon bowed low. Please put in a good word with Lady Carlin for me. Marba just groaned at the pathetic display. The Black Crow screeched a reprimand. You brainless lion, stop disrespecting your master. He is only putting on an act. Marba glared around. Who said that? The crow suddenly became very interested in its feathers, completely ignoring the steward. Losing his mind, Marba facepalmed in frustration. Suddenly, Richel bellowed toward the hallway. Carlin, get in here. Stop lurking, and help us out. Caught red-handed, Carlin had no choice but to shove the heavy doors open. Damn it, Richel reads me like an open book. But facing Leon this time, her usual bossy attitude completely vanished. Richel stood up and gestured toward her. Go ahead, introduce yourself. This is the demon currently serving our great master. Carlin clutched her temples. Dealing with you losers is a never-ending headache. Rachel just gave a sheepish, apologetic grin. Days later, deep within the untamed wilds, Leon's squad began their hunt to chip away at that monstrous debt. Why the hell am I babysitting you guys on the way to the guild? Carlin snapped. Rachel just brushed it off with a smirk. You are down 4 billion, remember. Think of this as a down payment on your debt. Do not get the wrong idea. Leon wondered aloud. What is the deal with this adventurers guild anyway? Marba fluttered onto his shoulder, equally curious. I am stumped too. This didn't exist in my era. How strange. Carlin rolled her eyes and started explaining the basics. It is simple. You take contracts, kill monsters, and get paid. You are free to team up with whoever isn't a total loser. Divide the loot and build your reputation. Something like that. But fair warning, if you are weak, you are just monster chow. However, the elites can rake in tens of millions in a single run. Marba's voice turned icy as he commented, a graveyard for moths seeking a flame. That is what people say. Rachel chuckled. Come on, it is not always that grim. The guild is strictly neutral ground. If you rack up enough glory, foreign kingdoms will practically beg for your service. They will hire you as elite knights or mages if you have the power. It is the ultimate shortcut to getting filthy rich. Leon leaned in. Break down these badges and ranks for me. Rachel smirked and glanced at Carlin. All right then, your turn. Oh, so now I am the tour guide, she scoffed. Despite the attitude, she began laying out the facts for Leon. The guild splits everyone into 5 distinct tiers: bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and the legendary black rank. The higher you climb, the deadlier you are, and the more insane the missions become. Leon cut to the chase. So hitting black rank is the quickest way to clear my debt, right? Rachel nodded slowly. Precisely. But that is nearly impossible, so let us not get ahead of ourselves. Continent-wide, fewer than 10 elites hold the legendary black rank, commanding astronomical fees that start at hundreds of millions in gold. Only the ultra-wealthy can afford them, a reality that finally dawned on Leon. The crew reached the city gates in record time. Carlin came to a sudden halt before 2 sentries. Sliding a document over, she told Leon he first needed a trial to prove he deserved a bronze badge. Imperial regulations are a total headache for miners seeking work. Richard cut in, telling Carlin not to kill the vibe. They hit a tavern marked by a beer mug sign. Leading the way, Richard announced their arrival for the check. Leon scanned the rowdy room, completely lost. He wondered if this basement bar was actually the prestigious Adventurers Guild. While he was distracted, a silver-haired girl caught his eye. She casually sipped her tea and dropped a comment. A noisy regular just crashed the party, she noted. Leon's group ignored the shade and stepped further inside. The tavern was buzzing with laughter until the patrons spotted Carlin. The room went dead silent as every eye turned. Whispers erupted instantly. Is that Carlin? Check out those predator eyes, she looks like she is ready to hunt. She is definitely not the type to play nice. Why is a powerhouse like her or Richard visiting this guild? That is the headmaster of Iramona Academy. He is ridiculously handsome. Word is she is already a legendary tower master. Talk about a total mood killer for a drink. Life just is not fair. Richard looked at Carlin, feeling the awkwardness. He noted she really put everyone on edge. Carlin just hissed for them to move faster and ignore the fodder. We have zero time for these nobodies. Leon looked around, searching for someone with actual main character energy. Marba sensed something off, asking Leon if he could feel the massive stream of mana currently tracking their movements. Suddenly, a young noble in the crowd looked pressed. He began lurking through the shadows, tailing Leon's every move. Feeling his pace being dragged, Leon released a mana pulse to scout the area. A second later, he shouted, "Found him." Before the words even left his mouth, the silver-haired girl lunged. She drew her blade in a lethal, silent blur. Carlin reacted instantly, drawing her weapon. The girl's steel touched Leon's throat while Carlin's barrel aimed at her skull. The standoff was electric. Carlin let out a mocking smirk, noting the girl's temper had only gotten shorter with time. Raleigh glared back with pure venom. She lowered her sword, snapping at Carlin to never use her name so casually. Unfazed, Leon stepped forward to ask if she was the strongest fighter there. Raleigh turned toward him, clearly irritated. I did not give you the green light to speak, kid. Internally, however, she realized Leon was a literal monster. He was far more dangerous than his companions. Leon introduced himself as the 10th heir of the Marba bloodline. That is my name, he said. Moments later, Walter slipped inside and locked the door behind the high-level meeting. Raleigh raised her teacup, admitting she heard the Marba leadership changed, but she never expected a literal child. Carlin jumped to his defense, claiming his raw magical talent was absolutely top tier and beyond any shadow of doubt. I can personally vouch for him. Raleigh remained skeptical, wondering why a noble would haunt a dumpy guild like this. Richard just laughed it off. Raleigh's annoyance grew, mocking Carlin for hanging out with demons and such weird friends. Marba, offended by the comment, snapped back instantly and demanded a formal apology for the blatant disrespect. The blonde joined the chaos as the black cat finally snapped out of it. Marba lunged forward with a growl. Leon remained chill, holding him back. He admitted he was drowning in debt and desperately needed the guild work. Carlin pointed out that Meolian's biggest flex was total anonymity. Anyone can join without revealing their true identity. There is no logical reason to reject him. Richard flashed a charming smile, pleading for them to give Leon a shot. Seeing the two legends beg, Raleigh finally caved. Fine, she sighed, but this job might actually get you killed. Leon shrugged it off, stating his family basically lives on death's doorstep anyway. This was just another Tuesday. Plus, Richard warned me that dodging that madman's debt would be a fate much worse than actual hell. Thinking of Carlin's terrifying associates, Raleigh had to agree. Fine, kid, I will give you one shot at this. She poured her tea onto the table, the liquid moving with a mind of its own to form a symbol. A matching seal erupted in light on the floor. The room shook violently as thick white smoke filled the air. Leon broke into a cold sweat. Marba identified it as high-level teleportation magic using an incredibly advanced complex formula. She even managed to simplify the casting. This girl is a legit top-tier mage with insane capabilities. A fresh row of ancient stone statues appeared in the center. Everyone watched in silence as Raleigh stood up. The rules are simple, she smirked. Only one statue pulses with mana. Find the real one. 30 minutes on the clock. Succeed, or you're headed back to your family in total shame. Leon didn't blink. I'm in. Raleigh's eyes flared. Then let the real game begin now. Carlin flipped the hourglass. Carlin grumbled about the chore but summoned the timer anyway. A floating hourglass materialized. Leon stepped calmly into the ring of silent stone sentinels. He scanned every detail until Raleigh roared. Look out, they're moving. Defend yourself, kid. The giants swung. Leon leaped high, narrowly, dodging a club that shattered the ground below. He landed only to find another statue striking from behind. He ducked as stone whistled past. Carlin watched with gritted teeth while Richel worried. Raleigh was definitely pushing the boy too far. Even mid-rank mages would struggle. Leon was a prodigy, but he was still just a child. The younger they are, the harder they fall, Carlin hissed. All we can do is watch. His success rate was practically zero. Even Marbus felt the tension. These statues weren't strong, but tracking the golem was impossible. The mana trace was ghost-thin. The blond man stroked his beard. This is brutal, he noted. Even a fool can see the contractor is way outclassed. Marbas ignored him, eyes locked on Leon. What's going through that head of yours, kid? Raleigh frowned. Giving a guild emblem to a child was a massive risk. On this continent, even geniuses break easily. Leon dodged again, his cold gaze finally locking onto his targets. As they lunged, dark mana pooled in Leon's palms. He fired two shadowy spheres directly at them. He hijacked the statue's control. As they froze, Leon whispered, the most efficient way to win. The arena went silent. The spectators froze. Marbas broke into a cold sweat, his jaw dropping. That kid, Marbas stammered. Leon wasn't done gathering even denser dark energy in the air. What Marbas taught me was just the beginning, Leon declared. Dark spheres manifested like black suns. Mana-tipped spears, Marbas gasped. The blonde was shook, while Richel couldn't hide her excitement. Pure, unadulterated dark magic. Without a second's hesitation, Leon commanded the spears to obliterate the arena. The statues stood no chance. In one violent explosion of mana, they were reduced to rubble. Nothing remained. You're absolutely insane, Marbas shouted. Carlin stepped into the debris to investigate. She picked up a shard. His control is top tier, but he failed. He had to find it. Test failed, she muttered. But Richel just turned away, a wild smirk playing on her lips. If he does, what I think, we're recruiting him for Remuda Academy immediately. Carlin stood frozen. Meanwhile, Leon closed his eyes and began an ancient haunting chant. Spirits of the celestial realm, I, the heir of Marbas, summon you, awake and obey. The broken stones began to knit together. Raleigh's jaw dropped. What on earth is he doing? Leon had this planned from the start. Mana is life, and anything with life can be raised. By killing it, he could use necromancy to force an answer. He was beyond human imagination. Carlin wiped her forehead. I hate to admit it, but he's a monster. That mana is terrifying. He solved a riddle with raw power and genius. Raleigh stayed silent as Leon walked back. How she managed to ask. Leon shrugged. I killed it, then revived it. It's simple. Raleigh pressed for more. Why go that far? Leon's voice was cold. Golems are living creatures. And this one's the mana user. Leon checked the hourglass. The sand was still slowly falling. Did I pass? Leon asked calmly. Raleigh finally smiled. Kid, you're on a whole different level. If this is what a leader needs, I'll take it, Leon stated. Raleigh couldn't even argue. Fine, you win. Forget bronze, you've earned the silver badge. You're too talented for anything less. Everyone agree, she challenged. Carlin was baffled. Silver already, but Richel just laughed. What a legendary show, she cheered. Lord Marbas, your contractor is truly one of a kind. Marbas nodded, a smug grin forming. That's my contract bearer. Still a brat, but a legend. The blonde interjected. Leon doesn't even know how to handle praise. Now I'm officially useless. Leon ignored them, standing like a stone statue. Suddenly, Walter stepped into the illusory realm. He gasped at the scene. Usually golems are just mechanical products of magical engineering. However, some rare life-bearing creatures emerge naturally. Looking at that green golem's unique traits, one could clearly see the difference from man-made ones. Raleigh whispered, precisely, young master. This case is unique. You are undeniably powerful. Leon's expression remained colder than ice. Thanks. What's the payout for a silver badge quest? Marba snapped, fuming at the question. Always obsessed with gold, Rachel cringed in total embarrassment. Carlin just smiled and spoke up. Around 3 million. But with your debts, you'll definitely need a gold badge soon. Rachel stepped in to ease the tension. Still, this is an incredible start for you. The guildmaster hasn't handed out a silver badge instantly in ages, Carlin agreed. It truly has been a long time since that happened. Carlin let out a heavy sigh. Indeed, Leon bowed respectfully. Thank you for your trust, guildmaster. Raleigh nonchalantly snapped her fingers. Suddenly, the shattered golems repaired themselves, returning to peak form. Walter stared in absolute awe. A mere flick of her wrist and everything is restored. Her mana and precision are terrifying. As expected, our guildmaster is a literal monster. Richard turned to the group. Let's head back. Soon after, they gathered in Raleigh's office. Silence filled the room as they replayed Leon's devastating dark spear attack in their minds. She muttered softly, I thought he was done, but he defied every expectation to pass. He spotted the life-bearing golem instantly. It was like he sensed its mana from the start. Why hide his strength? The Marba family is dying, yet a true monster has finally awakened. Centuries have passed since then. But those dead eyes? Leon, what do you really see? The next morning, the group reconvened. Raleigh pulled out a mission scroll and spoke. Here is your first silver rank mission. Leon took the scroll and read the contents aloud. Investigate Salashi where the Pope and the Goddess of Creation reside me. Allegations of corruption. Raleigh nodded. Yes, reports have been leaking out of the capital lately. In Salashi, Pope Cadwan's corruption is spreading. The reward for this is 1 million gold. Carlin blinked. Isn't this too big for a rookie? The guildmaster's cold gaze silenced her. This is a rare privilege. Handle it. Rachel could only offer a bitter, helpless laugh. Negotiation was off the table. Leon shrugged. If this speeds up my ranking, I'll do it. Raleigh warned, fail this, and you're back to being a lowly bronze badge hunter. Leon nodded firmly. Accepted. Raleigh then looked at Carlin. Provide him with backup. Carlin freaked out. What? That's way too much trouble. Why do I have to go? Richard chuckled. We're all curious about Leon's true potential. Carlin barked back. What about me? No one answered. Leon bowed. Thank you all. My father always said to be polite. Carlin stood there, stunned, her anger vanishing. The blonde woman burst into a hearty laugh. What a charming young master. He certainly knows how to manipulate a crowd. Marba smirked. A demon must master the human heart, Walter muttered. But the young master is human. Marba's terrifying glare shut him up instantly. Leon remained unfazed. Anyway, we need that money. Failure isn't an option. Meanwhile, in the holy city of Salashi, 2 worshippers knelt before the Arden Church's holy chalice, lost in fervent prayer. A man stepped forward with arrogant strides. Excuse me. The 2 didn't even look up. Within the water, words appeared. The saint who inherits the goddess's blessing will be one of 2 girls. One shall shine, while the other faces total ruin. The 2 shall merge, and one must die for 2 to exist. They sat frozen. Faith across this continent is split in 2. One side worships the goddess who birthed existence. Legend says she forged the soul stone. Those following Arden belong to the Arden Church. The opposition bows to the devil and 72 demons, a dark cult known as the Demon Revering Sect. Most humans pledge loyalty to Arden, seeking the divine grace bestowed upon her chosen few. This holy power is feared everywhere as the miracle saint of the right. Change scene. A wagon rattles down the trail. A dark-haired man sits outside, his face etched with concern. He keeps glancing at the window. Richard's crew sits inside, directly facing him. Leon and the others have returned. The driver is baffled by their strange travel request. Wait, Salashi, that place is a total wreck after the religious wars ended. Even the most devout pilgrims avoid it. Why on earth would you go there now? Rachel struggles to find the words. He shifts his focus to Carlin, searching for a real answer. Carlin just smirks. I get it, she says, tossing a heavy pouch onto the table. Gold coins spill everywhere. She slams her hand down, her voice cold and commanding. Stop asking questions. If you won't do it, we'll find another mercenary who actually wants the gold. He clutches the gold tightly. Fine, as long as you keep me alive. I'll go. As the carriage rolls, he wonders if the money is worth the risk. Salashi is literally crumbling after the brutal holy war. A cardinal was supposed to help the Pope, but the entire plan failed miserably. The divine power vanished too. That miracle saint still hasn't shown up. Arden's grace is fading. His mood sours. Inside the wagon, Leon finally breaks the silence. Our goal is exposing Pope Cadon's corruption. Simple, right? Walter sounds skeptical. Something feels off here. Marba scoffs, calling their enemies nothing but tiny insects. Chill out, no one can touch us now. Rachel sighs, maybe you're right. But human kingdoms have leveled up since you were sealed, Lord Marba. We can't be reckless. Carlin agrees. This involves the Pope. In this world, no one escapes the Church's reach. Not under Arden's name. Especially since the miracle saint is still missing. Richard interjects. The current saint is the Pope's own child. Everyone expects that bloodline to hold the power. But what if things went sideways? Leon adds 2 daughters were born. There should only be one heir. This anomaly has the entire church in a panic. Only one can inherit the power. Walter guesses that both receiving grace is impossible. Exactly. Lord Marba confirms that divine bloodlines always narrow down to a single soul. In the end, one sister must die. Richard stares at Leon, judging him in silence. It feels weird. Leon is shocked. The driver shouts from outside, breaking the tension. We've arrived at the continent's holiest sanctuary. Welcome to Salashi. Inside a grand villa, a tall man named Glazer swings the massive doors open. Your Holiness, the team we hired has finally arrived. The Pope clears his throat. Them. Did they actually dodge the royal guards? Glazer nods. If they're from Eremia Academy, it makes total sense. Kadan warns him to keep this quiet. This whole mess is just to save my daughter. He walks out to meet the group. Glazer introduces himself as the head steward. I handle all logistics for the Pope in this city. Richard asks, did you request we investigate the Pope's corruption? He whispers softly. Yes, I didn't expect the Academy head to show up himself. Richard forces a grin. Actually, I'm not the lead on this. The steward looks stunned. Then who? That would be me, Leon says. The steward looks worried. You're quite young for this. We can't let the Pope catch on. Noticing the steward's concern, Leon understood the man's hesitation and flashed his official badges to clear the air. Glazer was stunned to see the silver badge of the Adventurers Guild. Before he could accept the quest, he asked suspiciously, I have a question. Those 2 missing women, are they actually our enemies? Suddenly, 2 dark silhouettes loomed behind him. Realizing they were spotted, the shadows finally revealed their true forms. Glazer's gaze shifted to one of respect. We need to talk somewhere private, he whispered seriously. Downstairs, the group gathered formally around the large table in the center of the quiet room. They sat in tense silence. Glazer studied Leon with a heavy, pensive stare. The moment had finally arrived. Salashi's power was fading, and he doubted a young mage could help. I'm just not sure, he admitted. Leon kept his face stoic, reaching out through telepathy. Your name is Glazer, isn't it? Glazer couldn't believe his ears. I'm not sure if this changes anything, he added, his voice trembling slightly. He wondered inwardly. Telepathy. That was a high-tier skill reserved only for elite top-level sorcerers. Realizing Leon knew the Pope sent him, he decided to spill the truth about their real secret mission. A faint smirk crossed Leon's face, a look that finally made Glazer put his full trust in him. Knowing he couldn't deceive, Leon Glazer sighed. All right, let me explain the true nature of this task. The legend says only one daughter will inherit the Creator's divine blessing to become the Miracle Maiden. One sister shall rise as the sun, while the other is doomed to be cast into total destruction. One is destined to die. The Pope was paralyzed with fear that this cruel prophecy was actually true. What will become of my daughter? He agonized. Beside him, an attendant bowed, begging for his forgiveness. She explained the power was split between the twins, and to perfect it, one sister must be sacrificed. He snarled in a fit of rage. So a life is the price for this perfect power. Is that it? Fearful of his wrath, she apologized. Suddenly, a royal knight arrived, bearing a grim decree from the emperor. Caliban, the royal knight's commander, arrived to deliver a cold-blooded imperial command directly to the Holy Pope. Under Esteban's sky, there can only be one son, he declared. I'm sure you understand the emperor's will. He explained that upon reaching maturity, one twin lives as the maiden, while the other is burned alive. The rejected sister dies as a fallen saint. The Pope reeled, unable to believe such a monstrous act. You want me to burn my own daughter, he screamed. Caliban just laughed, ignoring the father's pure agony. It's a minor sacrifice for the emperor's order, he sneered, turning his back to lead his men away. Falling to his knees in total despair, he wailed, Why? Why must my innocent child suffer such misfortune? Arden, you took my brother and now you hunt my daughter. Why must I face these impossible trials? As the story ended, the sisters wept. Rachel finally spoke, trying to summarize the horrific situation they faced. The divine miracle maiden hasn't appeared for decades, but this time the power returned in a split form. So the power was divided between twins, she asked. He nodded gravely, confirming their worst, most terrifying fears. I'm here to save you both, even if it means betraying the entire empire, he declared with resolve. But Leon cut him off. Glazer, let me ask the girls something directly this time, okay? Looking confused, Glazer stepped back. Leon knelt on one knee before the sisters, showing them profound respect. Which one of you is actually prepared to die? He asked bluntly, the question, hitting like a physical blow. Marba gasped in shock. Hey, contract bearer, what on earth are you talking about right now? It's the most effective way, Leon replied calmly. Deceiving the Emperor won't be easy if things go south. In the absolute worst case, one must perish. So I ask you again, who is ready to die? Hei One and Hei In froze in terror, their eyes filled with pure shock at his cold, direct question. We never felt blessed, they whispered. While demons destroy everything, we are just the unchosen ones. With the Pope in despair as innocent blood flows, the timing of this power crisis is a nightmare. The maiden's light is missing. Get back, it's too dangerous, a knight shouted as the chaos intensified. A demon, he roared. I will never forgive this betrayal of the divine will. You'll pay for this. The scene shifts to Mistress Rhea, their mother, whose soft voice whispered a single, heartfelt sigh of relief. A future where our daughter rises as the miracle maiden. The Pope beamed with pride, yet shadows of grief clouded his heart. He was torn. Rhea. Every title has a price. I'm terrified the world will worship her, only to bleed her dry for their own gain, treating her like a mere idol. He spoke while white-knuckling the edge of his holy vestments. Sensing his inner turmoil, Rhea softened her gaze and took his hand. Rest easy, love. She'll be forged in strength, I'll ensure it. Let's call her Heaven, a name promising celestial grace for all who suffer. Do you like it, darling? Mom's voice had a weight I'd never heard. She surrendered every ounce of her life force to bring us here, then vanished into the light. Mark my words, we were born in blood and will end in ashes. Fate is a cage no one escapes. Our destinies are locked. It's that simple. The elder sister's voice didn't waver for a second. Is my choice made? Before she could finish, her younger sister cut in. Stop, I'm the one who belongs on that pyre. She's the firstborn. Only the eldest can uphold mother's legacy. In every possible way she outshines me. A broken vessel like me doesn't compare. Please. Hearing this, the elder sister's composure finally shattered into tears. Silence those words. She turned to Leon, whispering, No one ever prepared me for a choice this cruel. He paused, his eyes cold. So if both of you perish, problem solved. Honestly, that would make my life much easier. Listen up, contractor, Marbas hissed. Your job is to rescue both. If even one drops dead, your payout is 0. Leon clapped his hands together. Good point, Lord Marbas. I suppose I should actually try to keep them alive. Time to find a loophole where everyone breathes. The elder sister's heart steadied. It sounds impossible, but I'm counting on you. Just keep our father out of the crossfire. He's done nothing wrong. The younger sister nodded in desperate agreement. Exactly. He was just a puppet of his papal duties. Leon rose to his feet. Message received. Give me the timeline. When does the execution start? 2 days, the elder sister replied, her voice hollow. If we're out of options by then, I'll take the fall. The younger sister's face paled. Sister, no. 2 days. That's a death sentence. There's got to be a workaround. Leon's expression hardened. Move it. Next step. We need a real fix. Lord Richard, start by examining the Saintess's branding. He approached them cautiously. Can I see the crest? The elder sister froze, her face flushing with hesitation. The younger sister broke the silence. Everyone out except for Leon and the lady. Give us some privacy? Carlin snorted. Regardless of where the mark is, this guy needs to beat it. She shoved Richard toward the exit. Richard looked baffled. Why the hostility? I'm an archmage, for heaven's sake. Carlin just kept pushing, ignoring his protests. I've got eyes too. Stop trying to be a creep. She dusted her hands, satisfied with the room clearance. With the room empty, the twins shared a look. Trembling, they slowly began to unfasten their heavy outer garments. There they were, mirrored crests etched onto their skin. This shouldn't even be possible. Leon narrowed his eyes. This power wasn't inherited, it was magically grafted. Carlin nodded, noting the intimate placement. No wonder they kept it hidden. Lord Marbas's voice echoed in Leon's mind. There's only one path left now. The truth was a bitter pill. Leon sent a telepathic message. At this rate, someone has to die. These prophecies are savage. They wreck lives in a heartbeat. Leon looked back, with a chilling, unfamiliar intensity. Are you mad? Flash forward 48 hours. Louis von Arkheim sat smugly, chin resting on his hand. He was vibrating with excitement. Finally, a decade of patience was about to pay off with a new saintess. The masses will go wild. Caliban sneered, reminding everyone that a witch was about to burn. The pyre is ready. He scoffed. Being born as twins was their first mistake. Now we just wait. Leon watched from the shadows, absorbing every word. In the silence, he reached out to Marbas telepathically. Do I save the one desperate for life, or the one craving the grave? You're a puzzle, Leon. What do you mean? Leon muttered. One of these girls is spinning a lie. And it's meant for me. Only those on death's doorstep reveal their true hunger for life. The other, she's already made peace with the void. I'm at a crossroads. Will you choose today? He recalled the elder sister's haunting words. No one ever schooled me on playing God. High on the altar, the crowd waited with bated breath. Louis von Arkheim stepped into the light. Representing the Emperor himself, I am here to oversee this miracle. Behold the birth of the miracle maiden. The crowd erupted into a frenzy as he raised a hand for silence. Darkness engulfs the night, yet this void heralds the dawn of a new miracle maiden. Incinerate the nameless witch, a knight bellowed, demanding she face the purifying pyre. 2 suns cannot share one sky. This realm permits only a single miracle maiden. Twin births shatter the continent's balance, a demonic corruption requiring a sacred ritual to cleanse. The emperor moved in the crown's name, his gaze chilling as he addressed the masses. Any objections, silence reigned despite the cruelty. They approached his holiness, their shadows looming large. Sneering at the sisters, he spat. Such beauty, wasted on a witch destined for hell. She'd make a fine concubine otherwise. The Pope's jaw tightened, silent rage boiling at the insult. Powerless to act, he endured the crown prince's touch, while his fists trembled with fury. The prince smirked and departed. Desperate, the Pope turned to Leon, whispering a final plea. "Can't we save them both?" Leon shadowed his face, his voice heavy with grim reality. "I have one question for you, Your Holiness." Leon paused, sensing the gravity of destiny. After Leon's hesitant words, the scene shifts to the chapel, where heaven murmured soft comforts. "Dry your tears," she whispered, already accepting. Her life was the price for their survival. Tears blurred her vision as she wondered, was their very existence a sin against the heavens? The elder sighed, resigning to fate. "Prophecy demands blood. We are but pawns in time. The sacred word is absolute. Perhaps the only mercy is choosing who pays the price. Choosing who survives. Is that a blessing?" Outside, Caliban roared for the witch's chains. Dragged toward her doom, she hesitated, then stepped into the light, accepting her final walk. "I'm ready," she smiled sadly. Her sister collapsed, consumed by guilt and weeping for mercy. "Forgive my lies. Thank you for saving me." Suddenly, Leon appeared like a phantom behind her. A flash of magic struck her instantly. One sharp scream, then she fell into darkness. "Is this truly your best move?" Marba questioned. Leon's expression turned cold, masking his pain. "It's my only move." Meanwhile, the condemned girl was lashed to the stake, facing death. The torch kissed the wood. The crown prince watched, his eyes gleaming with sadistic triumph. "Behold the maiden's rebirth. My critics shall burn," Caliban echoed. "None dare challenge your will. Adapt or perish," they sneered. As flames roared, her agonizing screams pierced the night air. Leon's party watched the carnage paralyzed. Carlin finally spoke, his voice trembling with horror. "Was this necessary?" The young master smirked bitterly. "This gambit prevents a total disaster. Barely. Not a total win, but survival." Leon added, "I only wanted them both to live." What drives a father's soul? Leon pondered the Pope's desperation to keep his child alive. Even facing his own end, the Pope only craved her life. Leon struggled to understand. Someday, perhaps he'd grasp this weight. This tether that binds a parent to their blood. Guilt gnawed at his core. Surely they realized by now. She wasn't the one dying. "This feels like redemption. I'm a coward compared to her," she whispered, shaking with fear. She clung to her sister's kindness as Louis von Arsim barked a ruthless final command. More oil. A servant drenched the pyre, turning the embers into a monstrous, hungry inferno. The fire exploded. Watching her sister's agony, the younger one was shattered by her betrayal. "I'm so sorry," she wailed. Flashback to 2 days ago, Leon faced the Pope's chilling gaze. "Choose the daughter who fights for life, or the one ready for death?" he asked. "Is there a difference?" Leon nodded. "Hard to define, but impossible to miss." Silence fell. Finally, the Pope looked up, resolve hardening. "If you truly possess that vision, then save the daughter who wants to live." Back now, the Pope watches the smoke rise. She muffled her sobs as the pyre blazed. Suddenly, a mysterious carriage rattled into the square. The carriage halted. From the shadows, Richard and Carlin watched, waiting for the perfect moment. Leon bowed his head inside the carriage, whispering, "Your thoughts." The air instantly turned heavy. Lord Marba's eyes widened. Leon pressed on. "Why rescue someone who had already embraced death?" Silence swallowed them again. Marba hopped onto his shoulder smugly, saying, "To teach them life's worth." Leon looked confused. "Life's value," Marba nodded. "Survivors carry the weight of those who are gone." In that moment of choice, those who accepted death finally realized just how precious living really is. They understand they are standing in someone else's place. They feel it deeper than anyone else. Leon realized the truth. Those who only crave life might never understand its true heavy meaning. "Gratitude eventually rots into entitlement," Leon muttered. "People begin to take every miracle for granted." Marba agreed. "Exactly. Pure kindness just becomes a tool for others to exploit and use up." Walter was spiraling. "If this is the cycle, where am I supposed to aim my rage?" "What was their sin?" Richard finally broke his silence. "There was never any other path for us. This world demands a saintess. Skill doesn't matter when the royal family drops a direct order." All eyes shifted to Richard. Eventually, the broken younger sister slowly emerged from the shadows. Carlin exhaled a weary breath. "It is done. Her divine power has likely reached its peak." Suddenly, Carlin froze, her eyes bulging. "Wait, what on earth is going on with her?" The whole crew stood paralyzed. Richard barked that the power was still fractured and totally incomplete. The girl stared at the mark on her chest. The Pope shrieked in terror. "What is this?" She cried out for her father, but Louis von Arkham stepped in, ending the conversation instantly. "This has spiraled out of control," Louis growled, his face darkening as he faced the Pope. "The witch is dead, yet the power remains broken. Arrest Cadwan and all his followers now." The Pope struggled against his guard, screaming, "This is madness. That child is my own daughter." Louis's gaze turned icy. "Do you really think you can play games with me, Cadwan? I gave you respect and time, yet you chose stupidity." "Kill him," Caliban reluctantly stepped forward. "Wait, he might be hiding the real Saintess," Caliban suggested. Louis did not even flinch. "If she is not here, he is just overconfident. Either way, I am finished with this. I have lived decades without miracles. Faith won't sway me." "Caliban," I said, "end his life." With a heavy heart, Caliban drew his blade. "Don't hate me. This is your own doing." "No, she is my flesh and blood," the Pope wailed. Caliban leveled the sword at his neck. The cold edge of the blade pressed against his throat as the final judgment loomed close. "This ends now." He hoisted his heavy blade, swinging it down with lethal force. Suddenly, the younger sister lunged forward. A jagged wound tore across her chest, leaving the Pope paralyzed. He couldn't even scream. "Why sacrifice everything for a failure like me?" She just offered a bloody smile. "It wasn't just for you," she rasped. "Without a soul that's truly mine, life is just a void. I searched for meaning but found nothing. My only wish was for my sister to finally be free. I fled my fate, so this is my penance." Meanwhile, inside the carriage, Leon's gaze pierced the darkness. A chilling death aura flickered over the stake, clashing with the massive miasma erupting from the girl's body. He recoiled, realizing they'd executed the wrong soul. Back at the square, the Pope stammered in pure disbelief. "Executed," the Pope gasped. The girl's eyes turned ice cold as she declared her father was just as guilty. The Holy Father scrambled for an excuse. "My child, what are you saying I only meant to save?" His voice failed as he choked on his lies. She just smiled, ready to shatter his holy facade. "We were never your children, just tools to secure your throne. Now admit it so we can finally find. You never truly had a daughter, Father. This is the only punishment I can leave you with. Perhaps this death is my final judgment." With those words, she collapsed. The Pope's agonizing shriek erupted. "My daughter," he wailed, but it was too late. Her heart had stopped and the miracle vanished. The divine light was ripped from the older sister's corpse, spiraling away toward the distant carriage. Marba jumped, sensing the terrifying death aura radiating from Leon. "The contract signer. Are you actually going to?" Leon ignored him, flipping open the black tome. Two tragic souls lost in this spiral of fate. "Hear my command," the spell made Carlin freeze. Leon's eyes snapped shut as he channeled the abyss. "As the true heir of House Marba, I make this offer." The tome's eye erupted in crimson light. Gravity itself seemed to crush them. This was forbidden necromancy. The sisters' spirits merged and flew toward Leon. The swirling essence reached the carriage. Leon looked into the void and called out to the dead. "Heed the call of Leon von Marbas. Do you choose to endure even in this immortal state? Are you resurrecting us? Is this real?" Leon's voice was firm. "Only if you accept a dead vessel. If you can live without the warmth of a heart, I will take you under my wing." He extended his hand and ribbons of shadow lashed out, binding the two souls to his will. The younger sister smirked. "What's the catch?" Leon was blunt. "You'll work for me. That's the price." She didn't hesitate. "That sounds fair. I'd be more suspicious if you were offering a free ride." Leon's gaze darkened. "Then, the pact is sealed. I bind these two wandering spirits to my shadow. In the name of Marba, do you swear loyalty?" The sisters shared a look and nodded with a smile. The tome's eye pulsed with power once more. Leon swept his hand, drawing them into his dark embrace. "The contract is complete. In your new lives, I hope you finally find what you've been seeking. May your true worth finally be your own." Back in the plaza, the Pope stood like a statue. His eyes were empty pits of white. Caliban scanned the area, his instincts screaming at the mana surge. "There's a massive force nearby. Who else is here? This definitely isn't just Prince Louis's doing." Outside, Leon shut the grimoire and stepped back into the carriage, casting one final glance at the book. Marba exploded with rage. "You used a high-level restraint spell without warning me, you absolute madman. Prepare for a legendary lecture when we get back." Leon just scratched his head with a sheepish grin. "Well, I did save them, so I should be getting a pretty big reward, right?" Walter chuckled. "The young master is truly built different." Carlin could only nod in stunned agreement. Marba had taught that to revive mindless beasts into undead, one must use imprinting for absolute control. It was a complex art for total domination. "But what about souls that can actually think?" Leon asked. Marba explained the difference. "You have to convince souls still tethered to this world to obey you." "Persuade them," Leon echoed. Marba confirmed that souls burdened by regrets simply can't move on. A death soul master helps them settle their unfinished business in exchange for their supernatural power. Until those issues are settled, we'll call this constrained summoning. Leon rubbed his chin thoughtfully. So that's the secret, Leon realized. Liberating the dead's regrets gives them a reason to keep existing. Marba nodded. Exactly. The heavier the regret, the more insane their power level becomes. Keep this in mind, a Death Soul Master isn't just some parasite profiting off the deceased. Leon listened. I'll remember. Back in the present, Leon pulled out his black grimoire and began the dark chant. As House Marba's heir, I summon you by name, Heaven and Helen. Answer the Death Soul Master. The tome erupted in light as two spirits spiraled out, weaving together in a chaotic spectral dance. A fresh vessel was forged and descended. Leon watched with bated breath, but then, absolute silence. Leon turned to Marba. Why is there only one girl if I revive two? Marba stayed unfazed. It's simple, he explained. They were born as two distinct souls, sharing one single physical body. In death, they remain unified. Everyone nodded. That actually makes sense. What a wild twist. Walter eyed the girl, sensing a bizarre vibe. Leon's voice turned icy. Heaven, Helen. Who's in control? The girl smirked. It's Heaven right now. Leon's gaze didn't waver. Can you switch them out? I believe so, Heaven answered. Leon's eyes sparked with genuine interest. Fantastic. Suddenly, she looked away, hesitating. But there's one small problem. Leon leaned in. What is it? Heaven went silent as a chilling aura erupted. Her eyes shifted. Helen had just seized control of the body. A bossy master. This won't be easy. Richard sweated, watching her personality flip instantly. Helen's suppressed ego was finally awake. Hey, shut it, you milk-faced brat, she barked, cutting everyone off. Can't you see? I'm talking to our master. Leon cleared his throat. So what are your specialties? I brought you back to be immortals. If you're trash, I'll send you right back to the grave. I only have limited slots for my legion. Helen shivered. You say such terrifying things so casually. Fine, we'll do whatever it takes to please you. She suddenly snatched Leon's collar, pulling him close. Her face was inches from his, but even with a beauty that close, Leon's gaze stayed frozen. Like this, Master, Helen whispered. Fast forward to the next day at the Adventurers Guild. It's finished, Raleigh gasped. I didn't see that ending coming. Carlin stepped up to spill the details. The Pope signed off. Now we just wait for the bag. Raleigh massaged his temples, finally relieved. Boredom gone, Richard muttered awkwardly. The kid's a legend, but man, his methods are wild. Turning a man's daughters into undead, right in front of him, Helen snapped. Eyes up here, creep. I belong to Leon now. Richard stood there speechless before backing away to create some space. Marba grumbled. I literally saved your life, and this is the thanks I get. Leon ignored him. I'm good. Getting used to this vibe. Walter forced a grin. Look, I don't know much, but isn't being alive enough, though calling this living is definitely a stretch. Raleigh had to concede. Fine. I officially recognize you as a silver badge holder. The reward will be sent to your estate. Leon looked up. This isn't the end, is it? Raleigh replied, if a new gig drops, I'll contact you. Carlin added, my lips are sealed. The Lord says as long as the checks clear on time, your secrets are safe. Richard stuck his tongue out. Tiesk, acting all sweet for nothing. But before he could finish, Carlin smiled, pointing a gun at Richard's head to shut him up. Next step, test the twins. Let's see what they've got. Carlin grinned, helping Helen. Can we turn the heat up a bit? Raleigh set his teacup down. Fine. Meanwhile, deep within the Imperial Palace, Caliban returned with a grim report. Pope Cat 1 is starving himself, trapped in a delirious state. Losing both daughters broke him. Louis von Archam scoffed. Can't he just make more kids? Problem solved. What a bunch of losers. They're too ashamed to even look the Emperor in the eye. The miracle saint slipped through our fingers. Who knows when the next prophecy will drop? Caliban knelt. I've failed you. But give me one more shot, and I'll give everything for the Empire. Louis von Archam scowled in irritation. You'd better deliver. Now tell me, has that dark mage been located yet? Who dared to interfere this time? Caliban looked up, admitting grimly. Unfortunately, we have no leads yet. The souls of both saint candidates vanished. We suspect an interception during transit. However, as far as I know, no mage possesses such precision, unless they are a beast soul mage. Louis repeated the name suspiciously, beast soul. Meanwhile, Leon's squad entered a desolate wasteland. Raleigh hesitated before asking, so, what skill did your undead actually awaken? Leon smirked and snapped his fingers. Better to show than tell. I'll give you a front row seat. We just need a decent warm-up partner. Any common rank will do. I want to test her potential first. Helen reacted instantly. A divine golden glow enveloped her as Heaven took control of her physical vessel. She bowed politely, apologizing. Forgive my sister's rudeness, Master. I am ready for your command. Raleigh waved his hand, and a horde of golems erupted from the soil. Richard recognized them instantly, forest trolls with terrifying regenerative powers. Since Heaven had just transformed, Carlin noted this would be a brutal test. This fight won't be easy. But the Lord has already shown me enough. Walter cheered with absolute hype. I believe in you, young master. Crow chimed in. Crow has been a day one believer. Marba couldn't help but roast him instantly. Weren't you just whining about having nothing to eat but peanut shells? Leon, ignoring the bickering, focused on the troll. A forest troll. Heaven, can you handle this? She tightened her grip, responding tensely. Consider it done. The golem thundered forward. Leon coldly flipped through his dark tome, materializing a massive ancient warhammer in her grasp. The lead golem lunged only to take a hammer to the face. Heaven sent it flying effortlessly, shocking Marba and Crow. The two paused their bickering to assess the chaos. Okay, she's cracked. But this looks dangerous. Crow, watch out. This immortal woman is a straight-up menace. She's literally shattering skulls with that hammer after dropping the first one. The remaining golems froze in their tracks. Heaven turned awkwardly toward Leon, who simply muttered, "She'll work perfectly. Now let Helen finish the job." He swapped their souls. Immediately, the soft gaze sharpened into a lethal glare. Before Leon could even order it, Helen pulled a chain whip from her chest and laughed like a maniac. "Leon, it's finally my time to shine. I'll prove I'm your most useful tool." She lunged into the air, wrapping her whip around a golem's neck. "Arrogant monsters like you need a serious reality check, right?" She yanked the chain, flinging the beast skyward, before slamming it into the ground and strutting forward like a queen. "Die for our eternal love," she shrieked, crushing the golem's head. The sheer insanity left the entire crew speechless. Marba threw his hands up in defeat. These people are completely unhinged. Later, Leon finally returned to his family estate. Staring at the familiar gates, he let out a breath. Finally back. Marba walked beside him, soaking it in. "We settled everything inside and walked away with massive power. Not a bad business trip at all." Leon nodded in agreement. "I feel it too. My growth as a Death Soul Master has been substantial." Walter hesitated, feeling a bit of regret that the others had departed right as Leon reached his home. Richard smiled, offering a final farewell. "I'm just glad Aramita Academy has gained such a brilliant new star." Carlin reminded him with a sharp look. "Don't forget the cash you owe me." Leon caught her hand mid-reach. "You guys are leaving already?" Richard Errol nodded. "Yeah, I've been away from the academy far too long." Carlin gave a cold stare, adding, "Plenty of other debtors are ducking us. We need to go collect." Marba chuckled. "Talk about a side hustle." Suddenly, Carlin turned to Walter with a curious expression. "Hey, Walter." Walter blinked, startled. "Ah yes," Carlin continued. "You might be in your master's shadow, but you have insane talent. I don't know your full story, but if the commander saw your potential firsthand, he'd be floored." Richard wiped his brow. "Even so, I hope I never have to duel those absolute lunatics again." Leon looked puzzled. "Why is that?" Richard laughed awkwardly. "Because he's a monster. You're a monster too. But the commander of monsters is a different breed entirely. Regardless, Walter, your talent is the real deal. Stay loyal, and you'll reach the top." Boosted by the praise, Walter felt a wave of genuine gratitude. "Thank you. I'm still not used to compliments." Leon stepped up, promising he'd become a legendary retainer. "He'll exceed everyone's expectations. I'll make sure of it." Richard laughed at Leon's sheer confidence. Spoken like a true head of house. "Let's make this a hopeful goodbye, not a tearful one." "Catch you later," Leon chirped. "I'm down with that." Carlin turned instantly, barking new orders. "We're heading out. I've synced you with the guild, so pay your debts." Leon's face fell instantly. Richard grumbled, killing the vibe with his nagging. Suddenly, his sentence was cut short. Carlin's gun muzzle silenced Richard's whining. He grabbed the guy, dragging him away. "Too much chatter is toxic. Level up before next time, kid." Leon remained dead silent. He stood there smiling, watching them vanish. Now cutting back to the present moment. The sight paralyzed Leon. Villagers gasped, screaming that their young lord had finally returned home. "You didn't forsake us. Heaven has blessed this land." Pure gratitude echoed through the streets. Wiping sweat, Leon stood baffled. Before he could process, Pullen sprinted toward him from afar. Young Master, as Leon struggled to place the face, a heavy strike rocked his skull. A girl looming behind him shrieked, "Leon, where did you vanish to?" Abandoning the family like that, Leon clutched his head, pivoting in sheer speechless shock. Sister Diana Walter rushed over frantically. "Are you injured, sir?" Leon merely glanced back. "Can we move this inside?" Marba nodded solemnly, agreeing that a private setting was best. Marba broke the silence. "So she's the Earth Lion contractor, and Varisha's noble heir." Everyone stared. Leon confirmed she was a top-tier elementalist who had been vital from day one. The Black Fruit smirked. "Master, I'm not just powerful, I'm a total knockout too." Diana cut in sharply. "Marba, you're clearly a demon, right?" Leon's crew is weird, but locals act like it's totally normal. Logic just fails here. "It is what it is." Walter stuttered awkwardly, trying to find the right words. Diana sighed. "Leon, why are you always the center of chaos?" Even he lacked answers. "How could you ditch the manor for the guild alone?" The entire household was panicking. They thought they were abandoned. "My bad, Diana. I didn't realize you held down the fort." Diana's face flushed as she looked away. Pullen was a nervous wreck too. "I stayed because of your return." Leon's gaze went ice cold. "What do you want?" Diana recoiled before snapping. "Time is running out. Do you even grasp the situation?" "I came to verify everything." Leon frowned, echoing her words about the ticking clock. Diana beckoned him, then flicked his forehead. "A penalty for a lord who forgets his duties." Leon froze. Was Diana taking charge? That seemed like the only logical conclusion. The grand ball is coming. Every noble house will be there, and you know the drill. You're my mandatory partner. We're still betrothed after all. Days later, in a distant hall, a white-haired boy slumbered until the steward announced the noble's banquet was starting. He groaned, refusing to move. Why me? Let my brothers handle this annoying event. The steward insisted this gathering of the three dark houses was his chance for redemption. Leon Haber needed to erase his bratty reputation. He stood up, sighing at the pure nuisance. What a drag. As Pullen finished his outfit, Diana stormed into the room. Leon observed her. Diana Deverecha, future head of a powerful marquisate and longtime ally. Plus, she was his fiancée. Leon grumbled first, asking if attendance was truly mandatory. Helen pouted dramatically. I thought our young lord was a one-woman man. My trust is shattered, Diana snapped, clearly irritated by the ridiculous drama. Shut it, it's just politics. She grabbed Leon's collar, adjusting his handkerchief with a smirk. Marry this guy, hard pass. I need someone mature. Leon silently agreed with her. Marba seethed. A contractor shouldn't be this weak, the deep gazer questioned Pullen. What's this emotional mess? Pullen stammered, frantically wiping sweat from his brow. They're polar opposites who clash constantly, yet their families share a deep ancient bond. Their bond ran deep. Finally, Leon broke the silence. Mind letting go of my collar? He asked. After that long pause, she expected a deep explanation. Instead, he just nitpicked something minor. Disappointed, Diana yanked her hand back. I hoped becoming the patriarch would change you, but you're still the same old Leon. Leon shot back with a lecture about staying true to oneself. Diana groaned. You're such a pain. Cutting through the nonsense, she got straight to the point. Listen, stop making your people worry. You and your father are seriously. She trailed off. Realization hit her like a truck. Leon's father was gone. She bit her tongue instantly. Fearing she'd ripped open an unhealed wound, she looked away. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Leon didn't flinch. Lady Diana, there's no need for apologies, he replied calmly. My father died with his head high, protecting his legacy, just as I will. Diana stood frozen. Her tone shifted back to her usual sass. Fine, you have changed. Now get ready for this gala. I hate these fancy parties too, Diana admitted. But the House of Marba crushed Sylvester and reclaimed its ducal glory. This event is your official power move. I get it, Leon sighed. Beside him, Pullen whispered, the other nobles still see us as weak. Leon's voice grew cold. If this is what it takes to shield my family. The room erupted in whispers. Walter beamed with pride. The young master is finally taking his rightful place. Gunnar nodded, impressed. He's finally acting like a lord. Leon made his choice. Fine, I'll attend. At the grand banquet, the air was thick with gossip among the crown prince and his elites. A brown-haired noble leaned in. By the way, is the rumor true? Did the mighty Sylvester actually fall? Even Count Alan was defeated. Who could possibly do that? The man whispered. Believe it or not, it was the Marba family. Reve scoffed, waving a hand. Please, that dying duchy, there's no way they've regained that kind of power. It's impossible. But the noble insisted it was facts. Sensing the awkward vibe, he pointed toward Leon and Diana. See for yourself. He's the spitting image of his father. Leon and Diana had to play the part, walking hand in hand through the ballroom. Leon looked visibly drained. I'm clearly not built for this. It's way too loud. Diana felt the warmth of his hand, but his complaining ruined the vibe. She put on her best Ice Queen face. You think I'm enjoying this? Suck it up. This is what a leader does. Suddenly, Leon turned and gave her a genuine smile. I understand. Thanks, Diana. Diana's heart fluttered in confusion. She'd known him forever, but this felt different. One mention of duty, and he's ready to charge into hell. What am I going to do with him? Leon glanced at the crowd. Will they be okay? They haven't reached their peak yet. Diana rolled her eyes. Oh, so you're saying you're already at the top, please. You're still just a 14-year-old brat. Leon didn't blink. In terms of status, I'm the patriarch. Diana sighed. You never back down, do you? Suddenly, Revy cut in. So you're the new head of Marba. Leon stared back. I am. What's it to you? Reve studied him, thinking, this kid took down Alan. Even as a count, Alan was a monster. The rumors have to be cap, Revy thought, flashing a fake serpent-like smile to test him. You're the one who beat Sylvester. Such a wild fairy tale. Leon's gaze turned sharp. It's the truth. Reve caught him looking at Diana and sneered inwardly. Just a boy trying to flex for a girl. He forced another laugh. I just can't picture it. How exactly did you win that war? Leon's voice dropped to a lethal whisper. I killed him. Reve's heart skipped a beat. What? I ended Alan of Sylvester. As patriarch, I don't owe you an explanation of the details. His eyes suddenly burned with a predatory hunger. Do not make my family your enemy. Who knows, you might just witness it with your own eyes one day. Marba suddenly materialized behind Leon, adding, but by then you'll be completely drained. The world had spiraled into pure insanity. From the shadows, a lone figure observed the chaos. It was Nox. He rose slowly, thoughtfully stroking his chin. Now, this will be spicy. Hearing the ruckus, the crowd began to turn. A blonde noble frowned, demanding, "What in the world is happening over there? Why so noisy?" A brown-haired man speculated. "Is Marba's young master stirring up drama again?" The blonde shook his head, dismissing the idea immediately. "That family is basically powerless now anyway." His companion nodded. Every biting word drifted straight into Reveille's burning ears. Meanwhile, Marba hopped onto Leon's shoulder. "You've got to be kidding. You talk trash like it's gospel, but whatever." Leon just offered a low hum. Just as he turned to exit, Reveille's hand shot out, blocking his path. "Hold it. That joke of yours just crossed a major line." He threw a murderous glare. "If you're coming for the Varela name, you'd better be prepared to back up those words." Leon didn't flinch an inch. "Did I lie? Weren't you the one claiming Marba didn't have a chance at winning?" Reveille snarled. "With that attitude, Marba has basically declared war." Out of nowhere, Diana cut in. "Why don't you take a chill pill, Reveille?" Her voice dripped with pure sarcasm. "Let's be real, Reveille. You're just from a side branch of the Varela family, right? You aren't even the heir yet. You're acting big in front of a duke's successor." Diana arched a skeptical eyebrow at him. "That's beyond disrespectful. Are you actually ready for the smoke that follows?" Her calculated sharp words hit hard. Her airtight logic left Reveille stunned and silent. Fuming with pure rage, he couldn't find a comeback, so he just started hurling mindless insults. "Don't think one lucky win makes you king." He stepped dangerously close to Diana, directing his most toxic sneer right at her. Even the Varela lady wasn't safe from his temper. Diana remained unfazed. "If you were actually a threat, I'd bother being careful with you. But honestly, I see zero reasons to be scared." Hearing that his fury reached a breaking point. "How dare you speak to me like that?" Suddenly, an unfamiliar voice cut through the air. "Hey, you're putting on quite a show." Not realizing who spoke, Reveille barked back instantly. "Who thinks they can talk to me?" The words died in his throat. As soon as he saw the figure, Reveille began shaking like a leaf. Leon watched his suspicion growing. This guy was a total arrogant prick seconds ago. Why was he suddenly acting like a scared puppy? What is even happening? The mysterious man turned his attention back to Reveille, casually lifting a glass of expensive wine. "Reveille, you're running your mouth without even knowing who you're staring at." Marba leaned in and whispered to Leon, "Zip it. That guy is bad news." Suddenly, Knox lunged, grabbing Reveille by his collar. Looking completely fed up, he snarled, "Talk. Do I seriously have to spell this out for you?" Meanwhile, outside, Walter and Pullen waited anxiously. Walter paced back and forth, asking, "Is our Lord and Lady Diana doing okay in there?" Pullen stammered, "Definitely. It's just, this is his first time attending such a high-profile event." Walter sighed, his voice tense. "So you are worried about him after all, aren't you?" Finally dropping the act, Pullen let out a heavy sigh. "Fine, I'll admit it. I'm stressed out of my mind. You know how wild our Lord can get. I'm terrified he's going to start a riot." Walter tried to stay positive. "He's still the Marba patriarch. We just have to have faith." Pullen took a deep breath, trying to calm his racing heart. "Thank goodness Lady Diana Devaritia is with him. That man is stubborn as a mule." Walter looked curious, trying to remember the details. "I heard a rumor she's actually his fiancée." Pullen hesitated. "How do I put this? To be honest, she's not exactly a fiancée." Walter blinked in surprise. "Actually," Pullen continued, "she's more of a protective big sister. She's got quite a few years on him." He made sure to emphasize the age gap, adding, "She's the only one who can handle our clumsy, impulsive lord." Walter nodded. "Ah, so it's more like family bonding than a spicy romance." Pullen shrugged. "Something like that. But she's not the problem. I heard a social landmine is at this party." Walter jumped eyes wide with concern. "A social bomb," Pullen nodded gravely. "Yeah, a legendary menace. The heir to one of the 3 dark houses. The youngest son of the Rain Harbor family. Their influence absolutely dwarfs what's left of the Marba name." Back inside, the gala chaos erupted, as Knox tightened his grip on Reveille's collar before introducing himself. Knox von Reinhardt's voice was smooth as silk but chillingly lethal. "If you're unfamiliar with me, you'd better memorize the name. That is, if you plan on leaving this room in one piece." Petrified Reveille began bowing frantically, screaming apologies. "I had no idea you were the Rain Harbor heir. Please have mercy." So the landmine Pullen warned about was none other than Knox. Without a hint of pity, Knox began slowly drenching Reveille with his wine. He spat out a final insult. "You're pathetic. Look at yourself. You're the reason this whole vibe is ruined." The ballroom froze in terror. Knox ruthlessly slammed the glass down on Reveille's skull. He just turned and walked away. "Forgive me, young Master Knox." Reveille choked out, utterly broken. Leon asked, "Who exactly are you?" Knox gave a chillingly polite grin. "If it's that name, you've likely heard it before." Diana stepped forward immediately. "Knox von Reinharbor. He's from a bloodline that rivals even the holy races." "So you're the lowly servant who crushed a noble house's son." Knox's brow twitched. "Oh wait, I remember now. I helped you back then." He laughed. "You're Leon, right? Expect to see me often." Leon stayed silent. If this alliance helped his family climb the ranks, so be it. Seeing his resolve, Knox smirked. "I like that answer. Good, let's meet again soon. As he vanished, Diana warned him. The youngest Rhine Harbor is their fiercest watchdog. Don't go looking for trouble, just show some respect. Leon's eyes narrowed. Is he really the family's biggest failure? Diana looked confused. That's the rumor why. Marba chimed in. Don't be fooled. That guy is on another level. A pure genius, even with that body. Leon rubbed his chin deep in thought. I figured as much. I've never felt dark mana, that's suffocating in my entire life. Watching the shadow fade away, Leon whispered, guess we're destined to meet again. Fine by me. Meanwhile, as Nox strolled away, a maid hurried to his side, her voice low. Young master, why go through the trouble of helping Leon? You usually find such losers bothersome. Nox's reply was a cold, soft whisper. Just wait a few years. The maid's eyes widened. In a few years, Nox smirked. His name will be echoing across the entire world. Whether he's a loyal pawn or a useless thorn, we'll see. Now let's go find some rest. Back with Leon, Diana gestured to the floor. Come on, we have to keep up appearances as fiancés. Marba hopped off Leon's shoulder as Leon froze. What am I supposed to do? Diana rolled her eyes. You can dance, can't you? You weren't raised in a barn. Show me what your father taught you. Diana grabbed his hand, pulling him into the rhythm. As the melody swelled, the two began a graceful waltz. With every turn, Diana's heart gave a traitorous thud whenever their eyes locked. You're actually not a disaster. And honestly, you're almost cute, she breathed, but definitely not my type. The music roared around them, and Leon missed her confession entirely. Huh, what was that? I couldn't hear you. Diana turned red. Nothing. Just keep moving, and don't overthink it. This is just for show, okay? But Leon looked dead serious. My father always said a true leader gives 100% to everything. He suddenly pulled her waist closer. Their faces were inches apart, breaths mingling. Diana's heart raced. Wait, do we really need this much contact? They moved as one, looking like the perfect power couple. Every eye in the ballroom was glued to them. Diana let out a breathy laugh. Are you still obsessing over nonsense? Leon panicked. Sister Diana, you're frozen stiff. Shut it, Diana hissed, face burning. You used to be just a tiny brat. Suddenly, the doors burst open. A riot broke out. Is that a fight? Who dares bring violence to a holy gathering? It wasn't a duel. It looked like a total slaughter. What the hell? The guests traded horrified looks before sprinting outside to witness the carnage. The scene was pure chaos. Pullen was gasping for air, hitting the dirt in agony, while Walter desperately traded blows with a shadowy figure. Diana roared. Explain yourself right now, Rive de Varela. What is the meaning of this? Rive sneered. Is that Lady Varisha? Diana didn't flinch. I said, explain. Her voice cut like a blade. Rive's lips curled into a wicked grin. Your protectors are gone, and you look exhausted. Marba realized that with the white-haired man Nox gone, all hell had broken loose. Typical. A total loser causing drama over nothing. Leon pushed towards shivering Pullen. He looked up at Walter, his voice cold. Tell me exactly how this started. Walter's hands trembled. It was like this. Moments before the bloodshed, Rive had stormed out of the hall, vibrating with rage. His lackey kept pestering him, asking if he was okay. Rive finally snapped. Shut your mouth. You're all pathetic trash. He shook with fury, Nox's smug face and Leon's eyes haunting his mind. As he stepped into the courtyard, he spotted Walter and Pullen chatting near the gate. Walter was saying, this gala is for the high houses to build bridges and show their true strength. Pullen nodded along. I get it now, he muttered. For House Marba, these galas aren't just parties, they're survival. Since our influence is circling the drain, he brought Lord Barisha to save face. Walter smirked. You two seem awfully cozy. Pullen played it cool. Young Master Leon and I go way back since he was just a kid. Suddenly, Walter sensed a presence and threw up a defensive arm. Rive stepped forward, his eyes narrowing. So you're from the Marba clan, Rive stated. He must have eavesdropped on their private talk by chance. Pullen's mind raced. That's Varela's young lord. What's his endgame in approaching us like this? Look, I won't stand for anyone trashing my house, he snapped. What do you want? Rive gave a cryptic grin. You're just the hot topic lately, Rive shrugged. He turned to his subordinate. Coleman, don't break him too fast. Coleman paused. But isn't the Marba name basically a meme now? Rive nodded. I get your doubts. The family is a sinking ship. Just do it. Smirking, Coleman unsheathed his blade to test the waters. If you're supposed to be a knight, draw your steel, Coleman taunted. Pullen grabbed Walter's arm. Stop, Walter. Don't take the bait. Our house is too fragile for a war right now. Walter froze, torn. Exploiting the opening, Coleman lunged and drove his blade into Pullen. He collapsed, gasping in agony. Walter let out a primal roar as Pullen fell. He snapped. Seeing the rage, Pullen wheezed out a warning. Hold back. Think of the clan leader, Pullen cried. But Coleman just slammed a boot into Pullen's skull. That was the final straw. Walter's fury exploded as he leveled his blade ready for blood. Walter, don't fight back, Pullen begged. But Walter stood firm. I'm your shield, no matter what. The leader and Lord Pullen are everything to me. Rive chuckled. How touching. He signaled his men. Just watch the show. Steel clashed against steel as Walter and Coleman traded blows. But then, the unthinkable happened. Walter slipped, his defense crumbling. He hit the dirt, but his spirit wouldn't break. He aimed his sword again. Suddenly, Diana cut through the chaos. Start talking. I want a clear explanation right now. Rive snapped out of it as the crowd's whispers grew louder. The onlookers were having a field day. Varella's boss is really asking for it today, one whispered. Another grinned. This is peak entertainment, let's see. If that beef with Sylvester is legit. A noble girl scoffed. Please, what can a low-tier noble even do? Facts, her companion chirped. I hope this mess wipes out all these villains for good. Rive smirked at Leon. Since the big boss is here, why not put on a show for the fans? Challenge accepted, Leon said coldly. Diana tried to stop him, but Leon was already channeling his mana. Die already, Rive roared. Leon sighed. Walter, I'm disappointed in you. Walter hung his head in shame. Forgive me, leader. I lost my cool, Walter muttered. But Leon's response caught everyone off guard. That's not it. Suddenly, Coleman lunged, but a blinding flash of light erupted from behind Leon's silhouette. In a heartbeat, his hand was severed clean off. The crowd went dead silent. Leon's voice was ice cold. Tell me, did you give your all to protect Pullen? He leaned in. Time for a new Marba rule. Right then, the ghastly skeletons Leon had summoned crawled into view. Even Pullen looked shaken. My lord, the undead surged forward, their bony fingers locking around Revi's throat. Leon made his stance clear. He'd slaughter anyone to protect his house's glory and his people. No mercy, no exceptions. Even if it meant his death. Rive slumped, blood dripping as a new figure cast a long shadow over him. Who the hell is it now? Rive snarled. But when he looked up, his face went completely pale. Rive's voice died in his throat. Louis von Arkheim was standing there, smirking. Your Highness. Rive bowed frantically. Forgive my insolence, I didn't realize it was you, Louis cut him off mid-sentence. Enough of that. You're Rive, right? Louis asked. Rive scrambled to answer with utmost respect. You actually remember a nobody like me, I'm honored. Louis rolled his eyes at the rambling. Keep it brief, Louis snapped. Rive gulped. My apologies, Your Highness. Here's the deal. Looks like you're in the middle of a juicy feud. Intriguing. Louis paused, waiting for the explanation. It's a clash between House Marba's heir and Leon Haver. Rive explained, hitting the nail on the head. Louis stroked his chin, a dangerous glint in his eyes. You've definitely piqued my interest, Rive. Spill it. Why are those two black houses backing you? Since when did these rivals ever play nice? How exactly did House Marba clutch this win? Rive paused, the words catching in his throat. Louis gripped his shoulder, leaning in with a chilling whisper. I'm setting the stage for a little show. Want to unmask those Black House parasites. At the mention of a payout, he went dead silent. With Nox Leon gone, that Marba brat is toothless. But with Your Highness calling the shots, crushing them was actually possible. This was his big break. His eyes sparked as he barked. Yes, I'm your man, Louis smirked. Fast forward to now, and Rive has a cold blade against his throat. Crap, did I overstep? He bluffed hard. Househead or not, you can't just brush this under the rug. All this for some lowly servants. Leon's gaze remained ice cold. Just servants, you say? I beg to differ. Coleman's face nearly exploded with rage, yet he still forced a submissive bow. His knuckles whitened. A bewildered, Rive stuttered. Is all this extreme measures really necessary? Leon stood firm. I meant what I said. No exceptions. Without another word, he turned his back. Ascending the stairs with his undead legion, he issued one final command. Walter, get Pullen to the medic. Walter snapped to attention. Understood. Seeing the chaos spiraling, Lady Diana rushed in to stop the madness. Leon, stop. This is reckless. Marba is a ducal powerhouse, but don't throw your life away. Too many witnesses are lurking. Fall back. Leon remained silent, his mind racing through the possibilities. Suddenly, Rive shot a coded look at his subordinate. The man gave a subtle, sinister nod. He lunged at Diana to pin her down. Marba spat out a foul curse. Finally, Rive's mask slipped. Cut the hero act and back off, or your precious little toy is going to get seriously hurt. He didn't flinch, just tilted his head. Honestly, Diana isn't some helpless damsel you can push around. Are you blind? Marba clapped mockingly. Typical contractor. Rive didn't blink, doubling down on his threats. If you want her in one piece, why not just walk away and keep things civil? The crowd faltered. A thick, bloodthirsty aura erupted from Leon. Let's get one thing straight before you die. You trashed my name, spat on the Barakias, and now you've disrespected Lady Diana herself. A mere servant's arm won't cover that debt. The air grew heavy. Something was very, very wrong. Pure killing intent radiated from Leon. Did you just badmouth Diana? He suddenly lunged forward like a predator. Contractor, go. Since you're silent, I'll take that as a yes. He looked smug like a genius. Fascinating. I've learned a lot today. In that case, just drop dead. He glared at his lackey, screaming. You want me dead? Big mistake. Reve messed up thinking Diana was caught. She instantly annihilated her captor. Crimson sprayed his face, but Diana just grinned, a lethal mask forming. She glided right behind Leon. His summoned ghouls began tearing through the ranks. One by one, Reve watched his men get slaughtered. Reve's face drained of color. Suddenly a hand clamped onto his jaw. Leon's eyes were pits of frost, total killing intent. Fear finally gripped Reve's soul. Diana watched completely baffled. How is this possible? I knew Leon leveled up, but this power is insane. Marba scurried over, acting like a loyal dog. It's like you're his whole world, she whispered. What? He looked ready to explain everything with glee. I've never seen a contractor get this emotional. Reve let out a desperate scream. Wait, hold on. Leon tuned him out and unleashed a devastating spell. Diana froze. Pure terror rippled through the onlookers. No way. Was that really Leon? Did the Housemaster seriously just flex dark magic like that? His mana is wild but terrifyingly potent. Starting today, the world will see Marba in two lights. Either an unstoppable legend people fear or a prime target that everyone wants to take out fast. Reve couldn't even scream as his body crumbled into ash. Leon's expression didn't even flicker. He just ended a life, but distant clapping echoed. Louis stepped out, cheering for the absolute carnage. Leon von Marba, you're a real piece of work. He kept clapping despite the heavy silence. Leon countered coldly. A nightmare for the weak. You definitely have some twisted hobbies, Prince. The prince just grinned, unbothered. He knew exactly what kind of monster he was dealing with. Diana gasped in shock, but Louis only offered a twisted smirk. Relax, he whispered. I'm just curious. Forbidden dark magic lost for eons had suddenly resurfaced. How was this possible? Louis kept his icy composure. Maybe even I haven't seen my full potential yet, Leon teased. This was a power unseen for centuries. Explain yourself, Leon demanded bluntly. The prince hesitated, his gaze clouded with uncertainty. I'm not entirely sure either. But one thing is certain, Leon declared. I haven't lost, and I'm still the one standing here. Louis's expression turned stone cold. Just ensure that talent of yours never aims for the throne, he warned. Leon tilted his head with a chillingly calm smile. Of course, as long as the royals don't block Marba. As the guards trailed behind, a primal shiver ran down Louis's spine. Seeing Leon's face, he turned and vanished. Marba perched on Leon's shoulder, purring softly. Well played. The vultures will definitely try to clip your wings. But after that show, they'll stay quiet for a while. Now you need to level up fast. I know, Leon replied coldly. Suddenly, Marba's playful vibe vanished, replaced by a deadly serious warning. That guy is bad news. I can smell a monster just like me. Leon nodded, already sensing the danger. A suffocating demonic aura filled the air, as if an eternal night was swallowing the room whole. Marba collapsed onto the plush sofa, exhausted. Leon leaned back, finally letting the day's fatigue wash over him. They acted like nothing happened, but Marba broke the silence. That prince is definitely up to something. Louis is plotting. We need to move fast. We barely scraped by with that loan advance anyway. Their coffers were bone dry. They desperately needed to secure more funding and overhaul their crumbling facilities. Diana was right, Leon muttered, recalling her warning. We need a genius chancellor to run this mess. Exactly. She had looked him dead in the eye. Keep living on debt, and you'll be a loser forever. Do you want to leave a legacy of bankruptcy to your kids? Leon went quiet, deep in thought. Hell no. The Black Raven swooped in with a plan. Just reach the peak, become a god-tier archmage, live forever as a legend, and you'll never have to worry about paying back a single cent. Shut it, bird, Marba hissed. I won't let my contractor become some pathetic slave to loan sharks. Helen looked worried. Is that even possible? Every city-state is hunting for a high-level chancellor right now. Our backs are against the wall, Leon noted. We have to spend money to make real money. He scowled, finalizing the strategy. Worrying gets us nowhere. Let's head back and map out our future. Leon's fist tightened with absolute resolve. I'll find the perfect chancellor for this family no matter what. Leon snapped back to reality and looked at Marba. Post a notice immediately. Marba looked confused. A notice. Nobles, slaves, it doesn't matter, Leon explained. If they have the brains, I'll give them the power. Marba hummed in approval. Though Leon added it wouldn't hurt if they worked for cheap. The Lord sighed. You actually sounded cool for a second there. Then you had to go and say that. The crow shrieked in rage. Foolish lion, how dare you insult my master over a few measly coins? Quiet, both of you, Marba snapped, grabbing her gear. Clean up this trash. I'm out of here. This loot is mine, she hissed, protecting her rewards. Leon ignored the bickering and turned to his subordinates. Helen, he called out, his voice dropping to a serious tone. Yes, master, she responded instantly. Summon Pullen. It's time. We're holding the first Great House Council. Meanwhile, at the prince's dark fortress, Louis lounged back, staring at the ceiling with a predatory gaze. Leon, you truly are a fascinating specimen. He could almost taste the scent of Leon's power. Each day, Louis' smile grew more sinister and domineering. Beneath his silk shirt, a black demonic mark pulsed against his skin, spreading like a lethal virus. Louis let out a chilling laugh, his bloodlust overflowing. Even I'm starting to fear what I've become. The town square was suddenly electric with gossip. A new announcement had just been plastered onto the board. A crowd gathered, buzzing with shock. House Marba is hiring. They're looking for a top-tier chancellor. A blond man laughed. Are they even rich enough to pay a salary? The man next to him hissed. Shut up, you want to get cursed. Our lord must have some insane master plan in motion. The blonde leaned in closer, squinting at the parchment. Wait, it says regardless of status. Is he serious? The flyer was clear, right? They're scouting talent regardless of bloodline or rank. A bystander nodded, analyzing the scene. Only one theory makes sense here. The clan is broke. How could some illiterate commoner ever serve as the Duke's right hand? Siren watched from the shadows, fist clenching. Every move Lord Marbas made was under her scrutiny. Marba groaned. They're hunting for elites, but only offering a single gold coin. Pullen's anxiety spiked. Our hands are tied. The Imperial Crown has us locked down completely. Even war reparations are blocked. The Lord saved a fortune, but it wasn't enough. Debts swallowed everything. Leon stoically noted, they only had 100 gold coins left. It won't even last a month. Black Bear roared, this is insane. Crow needs to sign. The boss is paying me peanuts. Walter stayed composed, delivering the grim status report. The candidates are waiting outside. Why not judge them yourself? He rose, ready to decide. Let's move. Talk is cheap. Leon's expression remained stone cold as Pullen adjusted his regal attire. Marba sighed at Leon's stiff demeanor. Without a word, he led the way out. To the training grounds, weapons were prepped and target posts stood ready for the evaluation. The Lord's seat overlooked the courtyard. The hopefuls were already lined up, Siren included. Siren flinched, sensing someone behind her. It was Alcar strolling past with arrogant ease. You, how did a lowlife like you sneak in here? Alcar de Nagishi sneered. The obsessed third son of the Border Clan. Did you seriously stalk me all this way? Siren snapped. Why do you care where I am? Alcar hissed through clenched teeth. Everything about my future wife concerns me. Siren coldly shrugged his hand off her shoulder. Alcar's face twisted in rage. He spat insults. Why don't you just give up already? Stop chasing status. You were born in the dirt, peasant. Siren fired back, eyes blazing. And you, are you God? Alcar scoffed, claiming his noble blood put him leagues above. But you'll never have me. That struck a nerve, you pathetic brat. Siren didn't flinch. I'm rising to the top. My humble roots won't stop me from reaching the peak. I'll evolve. I'll ascend. Alcar, refusing to back down, kept mocking her. No noble wants trash. You're just concubine material. She cursed him out, completely fearless. Clawing my way up beats being sold to a loser like you. His fury finally erupted. Alcar swung a fist, screaming insults. Siren stood her ground as the crowd started whispering. Alcar's punch stalled. A terrifying dark aura surged, forcing him back in pure shock. What? The source was Leon. Things are getting too loud. I despise unnecessary noise, he stated. He took his seat gracefully. I am Leon von Marba, lord of this house, he announced. The Chancellor's exam begins now. Siren's cheeks flushed as she gazed at him. Her eyes were full of wonder. When Leon's gaze met hers, she beamed with joy. Marba smirked from the sidelines. Finally, a candidate with actual potential has appeared. Destiny isn't done with you yet, Leon. He watched Siren with a flicker of intrigue. Leon possessed demonic eyes that pierced through souls. It's a trait inherent to their kind. They identify talent and weakness, tempting victims until they've crushed and claimed them entirely. A young woman with an iron will caught his attention. Siren stared Barry, completely entranced. Dark energy surged as Leon declared, the trial for the Marba Chancellor starts right now. Leon signaled for silence. Taking a scroll from Pullen, he revealed the first challenge. Master the situation. Walter distributed identical scrolls to every nervous applicant in the yard. The scrolls held a map of the Marba territory. Study this land carefully, Leon commanded. Our bankruptcy is public knowledge. I assume you all know how dire our finances are. But through alliances and local resources, we can still claw our way back to glory. Leon conjures a glowing hourglass with a flick of his wrist. Clock's ticking, he declares. 10 minutes, don't waste them. Siren's eyes race across her map, her brow furrowed in deep concentration. She marks the terrain with frantic ink strokes, letting out a sharp, frustrated sigh. Reality starts to sink in. The Marba estate sits isolated in the south, zero exports, just a single hollowed-out mine. With no funds to dig, it's just a hole in the ground. Total dead end, she mutters, dropping her pen. Resources aren't the only problem, it's the people. Alcar watches her from the side, judging every move. No youth want to move to this wasteland and hiring elite muscle. Absolutely impossible, without gold. Magic and steel cost a fortune they don't have. So what does this house actually offer? Alcar sneers, his voice dripping with venom. Face it, country girl, you're way out of your league. Siren doesn't even blink, walking past him like he's invisible. Alcar's blood boils as he curses her. Useless. It's all useless, he growls at the map. Then a dark spark of inspiration hits him. The final grain of sand drops. Leon's clap echoes through the hall. Time's up. Cowards leave now. If you have a vision, step up. A blonde noble nervously raises his hand, breaking the silence. I'll go, sir, he shouts, stepping onto the stage with forced confidence. Leon simply nods him forward. After a stiff formal bow, he unfurls his map. Listen closely. Here is my master plan. The Marba lands are a natural fortress, but as you noted, the coffers are bone dry. The solution, that abandoned mine. If we strike rubies, the high society ladies will flock to us. Leon's cold voice cuts him off mid-sentence. And where exactly will this capital magically appear from? The man pales, his voice trembling. I assumed the family had reserves. Or perhaps, we could beg the guilds for a loan. Leon's gaze hardens. And when they say no, what then? Defeated, the noble slinks away in shame. Next, don't make me wait, Leon commands the room. Silence grips the crowd as everyone shrinks back. But Siren, she feels the heat of the moment. Her heart hammers against her ribs. It's now or never, she whispers, finding her resolve. I can do this. This is her one shot at changing destiny. She begins the long climb under 1,000 curious eyes. Leon tracks her every movement as she reaches the platform. The atmosphere turns suffocatingly heavy. Every pair of eyes is a weight on her shoulders. She grips her scroll until her knuckles turn white. The crowd erupts in mocking whispers. A little girl, really Marba, must be truly desperate. They're relying on a common servant now. This house fell apart long ago. Ignoring the haters, Leon activates his hidden power. His eyes glow with an otherworldly light. This one. She's different, isn't she? Marba's voice rasps. She's actually interesting, Leon replies. She's a diamond in the rough, pure potential. Leon turns his cold gaze toward her. Speak. State your name and status, he orders. She meets his eyes unwavering. I am Siren, an orphan. Her stare is pure steel. But to understand her journey, we have to look back a few days. It started when Leon discovered a terrifying new gift, the ability to see the true nature of souls. A dark pact with Marba changed everything. The ancient spirit watched him impatient and demanding. Listen well, contractor. To reclaim your throne, you need an army of loyal shadows at your side. Only then will you touch the hem of the glory I once held, the spirit hissed. The legend of the Lord of Lost Spirits was no myth. Leon didn't flinch. I hear you, but I won't fill my halls with trash. This house needs worthy hands to rise again. Marba grinned, a chilling sight. What if I gave you the power to sift gold from dirt? Leon looked at him confused. Watch and learn, contract signer, the spirit mocked. Marba's hand flared with blinding energy, a spectral eye merging directly into Leon's own vision. Leon gasped, stumbling toward a mirror. His eyes, they were no longer human. Now you see the truth, Marba whispered. The brightest talents will finally shine for you. Standing by the window, Leon watches the training yard, searching for his first true piece on the board. So what's the verdict? The voice chirped. Leon paused for 5 heartbeats before finally breaking his silence. A sea of white, crimson, amber, and gold. Countless colors swirling together in a kaleidoscope. Marba beamed with pride. Excellent. The more blinding the radiance, the more legendary the hidden potential. Understood. I'll hunt for the most brilliant lights. But first, I have one burning question for you. My lord, can House Marba truly be resurrected? And what specific role do I play in that grand destiny? Marba went quiet, looking away with a cryptic smirk. That's a secret you'll have to earn through action. You'll witness it soon enough. Leon smiled internally. I'll be waiting for that payoff with great interest. And everything you'll owe me in return. Snapping back to reality, Leon fixed a sharp, calculating gaze on Siren. A radiant golden aura flared. Marba began decoding the mysterious meaning behind those shimmering colored specks. In rare dark cases, you'll find a black void, a grim sign of a forbidden, shadow-stained oath. He pointed out Nox, whose shadow-like glow matched the dark energy clinging to Siren as she stood firm. Don't choke now, Siren, she whispered to herself, hardening her resolve like tempered steel. She stepped forward. My lord, here is my strategic breakdown of House Marba's current crisis. Our lands are barren of unique exports. Only 2 basic resources remain to be traded for gold. We need a new cash flow immediately. Leon watched her closely, while the crowd erupted into mocking laughter. Isn't that just common sense? Typical peasant logic. She should have quit while she was ahead. What a waste of time. Leon's patience snapped, and a chilling wave of murderous intent flooded the room. The room went dead silent. I loathe useless noise and petty provocations, Leon growled with lethal coldness. Remember, you're all being judged right now. He signaled Siren to continue her pitch without interruption. With the room hushed, Siren pressed on. The abandoned mines are key, but we lack the manpower to dig. No youth will migrate to this wasteland. To fix this, I propose a radical shift in our strategy. We deploy your ultimate asset, the undead legions that crushed our enemies. Leon's eyes sharpened with dangerous intrigue. The atmosphere turned electric. Using the undead as labor, Siren tapped the map. Precisely, my lord. With an army that never tires, You'll have workers for the mines, not just the front lines. Leon leaned on his hand, pondering the madness. Below him, the nobles hissed, "Is this girl insane? Putting sacred undead to work in a filthy mine? She's completely lost her mind."